think we're assholes, but we're dickish at best.
Hello and welcome to Dickish at Best podcast, where the rules are made up and the points don't matter. With our fresh looking banner over there.
Our fresh new mic arms so that we can see everyone's fucking faces. If you watch this in video, which very little people do, but you know.
Still can't see my face. We're working on that.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
I might keep it that way.
We're going to get legs. I'm going to sit at the center like a god.
We're going to get legs, guys.
Jeez, my new legs came in.
Wouldn't that be funny? Somebody who doesn't know us at all, we're like, we're going to get legs, and then we just fucking pull up. Like, Lieutenant Dan. And then we get the little metal fucking legs. Or, Lieutenant Dan, you got magic legs.
Well, let's jump right into it. We're starting late today because we saw some shit go down.
Yeah, we did see some shit go down. Why not talk about it in this perfect opportunity? Yeah.
Well, pretty much we were taking Brett's daughter out to my house for my wife to watch her. Sorry, you have a little girl.
Maybe she identifies as a man. I don't know yet.
Anyway, we're going out there, and there was someone U-turned in the middle of the road, and we were like, oh shit. Then swerved in the middle of the road. We're like, this is a drunk driver.
Yeah, they were essentially going down the center lane of a little highway we have.
Of a 55 mile per hour highway.
Yeah, we all thought drunk driver. Now that I think about it, probably
driver
under
sense.
The influence.
Yeah.
That's just what I'm going to land there.
No, it's probably still true. But anyway, start turning to the right, no blinker. When same turn we're going down, so we're like, oh, this is going to be interesting. We've already predicted at this point that someone is going to get hit. And sure enough, guy on a motorcycle is trying to wave them down to stop and then jump off the motorcycle. And it was a little old lady ran over the motorcycle.
The guy was perfectly fine.
Yeah, fine. He was
off,
pissed though.
He jumped off way before.
Yeah, he jumped off like it was coming. It wasn't like she was just flying ass, but that's what made it worse. He
was way more mad until I think he realized it was a really old lady, and then suddenly I saw his attitude change. Well, and I don't know why. Was it because in his mind he had that AARP's about to pay the hell out? Or was he just
I think
like,
it was just like, it went from being this dumb motherfucker to, okay, that something's wrong here. Which is what kind of the conclusion we came up with is that either she shouldn't have been dementia, shouldn't have been driving in the first place, new meds, what have you.
Mini stroke, whatever it's going to be. It makes me think back to when Grandpa quit driving, and I actually really respected Grandpa for kind of knowing, like the last time he drove, he didn't mess up at all. I was behind him the entire time. But the entire time he was driving, you could just kind of see in his eyes the way he was doing everything. He was going kind of slow. I think you could tell he was like, too much is going on for me right now.
Couldn't sense what he was doing.
There's no way I can do this. We got home, and as soon as we came into the house, he said, I don't think I want to drive anymore.
Well, at least
I said, are you sure? He said, yeah.
At least he was cognitive enough to make that decision, too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them will go down, and that's like their last thing.
Yeah, not as stubborn enough to make the decision, too. Because I think there's a problem with people being too stubborn to give that up.
Well, you got to think that's a big part of your freedom whenever, it's, that's the whole big deal about turning, 16, what have you.
Well, or just driving. When you get your license in general. Because every state's a little different.
It's freedom. And they're losing a little bit of freedom. I'm sure that it's at the point where family has to come check on them, or they can't go get their medication by themselves. And now it's like, I can't even drive to go pick up my medication.
See, one of the biggest reasons that I moved in with Grandpa was that he decided to quit because I didn't live here at the time, and I pulled in behind him and he noticed I did. And I just happened to be behind him. And I was like, oh, that's Grandpa driving his little station wagon.
Oh yeah,
the old people car, but
the station wagon,
the shaggin' wagon as it was referred to. But he was going, and whenever I pulled in, he just said it to me, and that was before I even moved in. So if you think about it, Grandpa passed October, so I guess he didn't drive for 3.5 years. Before he even ended up, getting
he used to
really
go to
bad.
The burger joint all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just interesting how that ends up happening. I feel bad for the old lady because you could tell she was just out of it. But even then, I feel bad for the guy. He's sitting there with this beautiful motorcycle that's leaking gas.
He got registered 2 days ago is what he said.
Yeah.
And I guess that does bring up the question of, we were already talking on the way back when we stopped at the store to get these drinks and stuff. It's like talking about the purpose of cops and everything and where the law comes in at certain things. And it goes to that point of like, well, if we're going to have all these laws for other things that are up in the air as to really how important they are, then we have some that are based off of importance. Doesn't the ability to have and it's one of those things about freedom, right? And the way that this country's founded, wouldn't that somewhat fall into the line of at what point do we tell the law that it's okay for them to revoke somebody's driving abilities specifically because of age and incompetence to do so?
It becomes who gets to decide that.
Exactly. And when and how? Because if somebody drives like that for 6 months but never gets noticed or wrecks or does anything.
If it's a doctor, well, then there's, already you go to certain if you want the medication or, pain pills, or there's certain doctors for, medical marijuana in the States before it became where you can go to dispensary, there's already people know certain doctors. They'll just get to one that's like, he doesn't agree with it. Oh, well, no, I'll give you your license. So they all go to Dr. Phillip or whatever,
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think it'd be a doctor thing either. They already technically do eye tests and stuff at the DMV, and they'll leave it up to them at the desk to see if you failed the eye test or not.
Well, yeah, but that's the most basic thing. What about, like, do they do a hearing test when you start getting older?
They can't judge hearing or dementia there, though.
I genuinely don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No, they don't. All they do is that vision test. They don't have
at the DMV.
At the DMV, they just have that.
They have a beat
box.
machine there.
Do they have a beat machine?
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
I literally sat behind somebody. Like, I was sitting in line like 3 years ago, and I had to renew my license for 25 or whatever, or maybe that's just when my license was about to expire. And they were literally looking through the little binoculars that are mounted to the pictures
with a pair of headphones.
Yeah,
on.
you're
right.
And it's very audible. You hear, eep, and then they're supposed to lift up their right hand when they hear it.
Yeah, or whatever hand it was on.
Right.
It should be,
whatever
hey,
side.
Yeah, if you heard it on the left side, raise your left hand. And that's what they base it around. He is right. So, because that's important too, right? It's not just about can you see, can you hear?
Right. It's the same logic why you don't wear earbuds when you're driving. Like,
I see so many people.
No,
do.
yeah, dude, that's the dumbest thing you could do in driving. And one of the easiest ways to mess up in such an easy way is to wear earbuds while driving, because you can't hear what's going on around you. You can't hear if somebody's beeping because maybe somebody's plowing through people behind them, and you're going to get hit. You can't avoid it.
When I
It's
see
dangerous.
people doing it with one earbud in, and then you kind of just can give them the suspense of like, they have one earbud in, so you assume it's because they realize the danger of having both in. You also assume that they must have the music down low enough that they could still hear around it if necessary. And then you kind of be like, that's the best of both worlds. If you're going to do it, at least try and do it in the most responsible way you can.
Well, the crazy thing is now that Bluetooth is in almost every phone anybody has that drives a car. Just buy a Bluetooth adapter for your car.
Yeah.
And you can listen to your music in
Some
your
people
car.
genuinely don't have radios in their car at all.
Well, I mean, then the tough luck
that's
for
what I'm
them.
about
They
to
should
say.
be
If
listening to
they're
earbuds.
using headphones, they probably don't even have a radio.
Well, or that
Or their speakers are blown out or something.
Either way, they never should have earbuds.
Don't judge
in there.
them, Saul.
I'm not judging them. I'm just saying that you're dumb if you do that. There's so many situations in which something bad can happen to you because you're doing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
Saul, would you ever be a judge? Do you think you could actually impartially be a judge?
Judge Solomon.
Impartially, yeah.
You think you could?
Yeah, it wouldn't be hard. You just
Well,
look at the
Would
evidence.
you be Judge Saul or Judge
reason-
Benjamin Solomon?
I'm not Benjamin,
the
first
third.
of all. That'd be sad.
Benjamin. It just sounds more judge-like. Would you be Judge Michael Solomon?
Probably. I mean, technically it's my first name, so I'd have to go by that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think it'd be hard. I mean, technically, you don't give leeway. You take a look at the actual evidence that's at hand, and then you make a judgment based on the evidence at hand.
Well, see, the
I mean,
reason
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying all the
If that
judges
little old
are
lady
easy.
goes to jail, well, fuck her.
If the evidence is against her, yeah, you gotta be just, right?
Yeah, to an extent, right? And you have to see what it is. Like, is there clearly something that caused it that was out of her hands?
So,
And I mean that in the sense of like, it's not just her
no,
age. Is it coming down to like
The
Blaze was saying,
medication
is it
or
a new
something.
medication?
Well, here's the thing,
or
right?
a bad mix
Well,
of
like
is that
medication?
when we drove back through there, because we were taking, like they said, we were taking Brett's daughter to a house, and then we were driving back. We were on the same road. We got there was a fire
to
truck,
a house.
an
We
ambulance.
didn't know what house it was.
Well, I'm not trying to give out specifics because then
I know.
specifics
To
could
the
lead to
crack
where.
house.
Well, I was gonna say specifics could lead to where Blaze lives.
That is true.
I don't want to do that. But anyways, yeah. So like we were driving back, and of course, there's fire trucks, there's ambulance, 3 cop cars, and one of the guys that was there that was in front of her. So it was this guy, her, and then
He had almost
us.
rear-ended him.
Yeah, she had almost rear-ended him. She had almost passed him driving down the center lane, and we pulled back up and rolled our window down to see if she was okay because there's an ambulance, and he just flat out said like she probably has dementia. She was talking about getting into a wreck in her garage, and then all of a sudden she didn't say that at all.
She didn't
was talking
realize
about
she
something
hit
else.
someone either.
Yeah, she
He was
didn't realize
asking
she
him,
hit
she's like,
somebody
"Oh, I
at
hit
all.
somebody."
That's dude, that right there angers me to no end. It's like if you hit a 400, how much does a motorcycle weigh? 500 pounds, 600 pounds?
Depends on the
Depends on
bike.
the
motorcycle.
It was a full size.
Plus, yeah,
bike.
he's right there in the middle.
I'd say that's a 400-pound bike.
It's broad daylight. The sun wasn't in our eyes because sun's setting in the west and we're driving east. So it's just like you hit somebody broad daylight. And how like
I mean, dead on too.
Dead on.
Yeah,
Like,
it wasn't
and
like
then she
scraped
kept-
it.
and then
She ran over.
She literally
his
the
bike.
dead center of her car ran
Yeah,
over
she
the
went-
wheel.
she went dead
floored
center
it.
into the right lane.
She was her tires were squealing and accelerating while the bike was under her.
Yeah.
And we really thought that this was a hit and run because we were getting information and stuff. So
She started to back up later, not realize.
well, and I think that was that she accidentally put her. She might have had her car still in reverse or in drive, and since she was mounted on the bike, she just started rolling down the bike
But home dude reached in and said,
yanked her keys out. Yeah,
put in park.
but yeah, like for that, like if I saw that situation right there and like I had to make a judgment call on that, yeah, she's 100% at fault. No guarantees.
Yeah, but
And-
what makes her at fault, and is it her fault? Is it something that won't be able to change? That becomes the thing.
Even if it goes past something she wouldn't be able to change, she's still held accountable for it, right? Like
Yeah.
she made the decision to get behind the wheel.
I mean, it's behind her insurance.
Yeah,
Yes.
dementia. Typically with dementia and any kind of onset brain disorders, anything like this, like seizures and stuff like that, that could truly happen in a random scenario. You can have a stroke and never know it.
Yep.
Dementia, on the other hand, is onset. It slowly starts to conjure itself. She ignored those signs and still got behind the wheel anyways.
Well, and that some of that comes down to about dementia. She could clearly have, because of dementia, you can completely forget that you're not even supposed to drive.
And that's the thing, though, is that
and
like
then what happens is the state supposed to take your vehicle when you're deemed unworthy to drive
No,
because
it's
of
your
dementia?
property, man. They can't take
it's
it.
That's
your
what I'm
property,
saying.
so they
that's
can't take it. But like,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
It don't. Well, then it's like, well, no, I have the car for my daughter to drive me. Then she'll just drive without a license.
That's what I'm saying. There's a number of ways
well, then
around
she gets
it.
pulled over and gets the same penalty you get
But
for
does
driving
she?
unsuspended.
That's the thing. And
Why wouldn't
that-
she?
How long
That's
would
what,
until she hit somebody, she wouldn't get caught.
Exactly.
Unless-
That's what I was saying.
Well, I mean,
like,
that's the thing, though, is that right? Like,
I don't think she would have ever got caught if she didn't hit the motorcycle. If she would have went through all that
No,
and just
dude,
somehow did not hit somebody.
absolutely not. Somebody would call the police on her just based on her
I
driving.
thought about it, on the drive.
Like we even said, like,
We
should
tried.
we call?
You know, when she was kind of riding the middle line, we tried giving her the benefit of the doubt because it was like, oh well, is it somebody who's like in an emergency trying to get
Yeah,
somewhere
get
and
around
are trying
somebody.
to look to get around somebody because she was pretty much dead in the center of the road for a second.
And then she almost rear-ended the guy in front of her, which is the guy that stopped. And
Exactly. So I mean,
it's one of those things. It's like they're gonna get caught eventually. Like they're gonna get caught driving.
eventually, but how long does that take? Because what if she was 2 minutes?
The cost of a life.
What if she was? Yeah, I know that's
I mean,
that's
what,
the
hey,
that's the
but what
scary
if the
part.
guy was looking down at his phone or looking to the right for traffic or something? Which he came at him
He
slowly.
would have been. He still would have been dead.
He
without
wouldn't
a,
have- no, he wouldn't have been
oh,
dead.
without
he
a
would have
doubt.
been hurt.
She was
No.
going 20 miles per hour, 15 miles per
She was
hour.
doing
That would have
it,
hit
she was
her.
doing it pretty slow.
The fact that
Well,
it
she
would have
was
hurt him, but I don't
legitimately-
think it wouldn't like killed him.
Oh, no, dude.
It would have
still-
fucked his legs up. I think
she still kept going.
That's what, because what happened is when she actually
would've
first
ran
turned,
over.
she
I
was
mean,
almost
lower.
stopped whenever
Okay.
he first said,
So
like he waved his arms.
Yeah,
and
she stopped.
Then
and then
she
went
went
back.
forward.
Yeah, she
So
kinda,
she was
did
only
a-
going probably 10. She got up to 10 by the time she
Either
hit him.
way, it's like-
it would have pinned him down.
yeah,
Though. It
it's
would
either
have hurt
way.
his
He
legs.
becomes
I don't-
paralyzed. At what point does it become
we're just-
okay that you don't
but-
make the argument that
No, I
she
know.
shouldn't be driving?
No,
none of us are making
we're
that
arguing
argument.
whether or
I
not
know,
he
but
would have
I'm just
died on
saying,
impact.
like, that's
Like
the-
you made it sound like he would have died. I don't think he would have died.
No, he-
it would have sucked ass. He
He-
probably
yeah.
would have broke his leg or something. But
I mean, was
don't
he
think
even
it
wearing?
killed-
He wasn't wearing a helmet.
No, he was. He took
was wearing a
it
helmet.
off
He took
pretty
it
quick.
off.
Okay,
Yes,
he
he
took
was
that off
pissed.
real quick then.
No, he took it off and was
Because
like
I jumped out the car while it was moving to go check on that dude, and I don't remember him having a helmet. So in the time we turned and pulled like 10 feet in, 100 feet in, whatever it was.
No, but he got off and was like
Hey,
going
does-
crazy. Then he took it
Does
off.
Ryan listen to this?
I don't know if he has that.
But
yet.
Ryan,
We found your doppelganger.
this is a-
doppelganger.
yeah,
He was the
Yeah,
guy
I
on the
wish
bike.
we should have been like, "Hey man, take a picture with us."
Yeah.
This
we
guy
know
looked-
your bike just
Glad
got
our buddy
destroyed.
Ryan made it okay.
This guy looked just like Ryan. But yeah, like it infuriates me to see like this kind of stuff because it's so dangerous. And people are like, texting and driving and stuff like this. This is sometimes worse because you're not
No,
distracted.
yeah.
It's just how you are.
But it's every day, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Brett
It's-
worked at the hospital. I went to EMT school. Like he said, it was every day.
Yeah,
Like crazy
and it's
shit.
it's
And that's
terrible.
That was very mild. Very, very mild.
And actually, for him to be on a motorcycle, the receiving end of that, he got pretty lucky to be on a motorcycle and get hit by a moving vehicle.
I mean, he was
he
able to-
actually he literally came out of it completely unscathed.
Well, yeah, and
that's rare.
But if you're in a car, that airbags would have deployed 100% in that situation.
I don't know actually.
I don't, it,
Oh,
it-
100%, dude.
It's force based. The thing, there wasn't a lot of force. She was running over the bike.
That-
Like I think
that's
a
what made
car.
her
I
so
think a car
violent.
would have started just pushing against the car, maybe crumpled it a
No,
little.
dude, she was
She
still
wa-
turned at 10 or 15 miles per hour and hit him head on.
Yeah, but
that would engage airbags 100%.
I mean, we can.
And she wasn't even going.
Well,
we can speculate.
Should we start a MythBusters podcast?
Let's go get 2 cars then, and then let's.
How about we still keep it as Dig a Shit Best MythBusters edition, and there's just
we could just Google how
become
bad this
millionaires and
impact had to
hire Jamie and the other dude. Why can't I remember Adam? Jamie and
be. Adam and Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie fell off the map, dude. Adam does a lot of cool videos.
See, Adam's the one with the hair.
Well,
and Jamie's the one.
He's a special effects guy. He does some cool stuff. It's a bunch of one-day build videos.
Yeah, that's cool. Either way, I mean,
anywhere between 8 to 14 miles per hour is enough to deploy a front airbag. And there she was definitely going faster than 8 miles per hour.
I'd say 10 is
10.
about.
I would
where
say
she was
probably
at.
15, to be honest. She's still going. But
Well-
you don't stop. You gotta understand how slow 10 miles per hour is.
Oh, I do.
She wasn't going 10 miles per hour. She was turning and going.
Think of it this way: can you run 10 miles per hour?
You could run about 6 miles per hour normally, and she was.
Yeah, that's I mean the average person. There are people that can run 10 miles per
Right,
hour.
yeah,
But that's what I mean.
average person.
You say you don't know how slow it is. I mean, I do. I can't even run 10 miles per hour, so it's still fast, but in the situation, it's
You gotta
relatively
think about
slow.
it. How fast do you think you go down this alleyway behind your house? About
This one?
15.
No,
No, not
in the truck I go probably 10.
Yeah, about 10.
And I don't. My car's lower to the ground. I go even slower if I have to go back.
So
there.
you have to go. I'm talking about the truck.
The truck I go probably 8 to 10. Now there's the other girl, and it seems like she's flying because of relative space. The one I was telling you back here that's got the zebra car who flies through.
She's probably going 30.
Literally going 20 to 25 minimum, and it's crazy because when you're in a space like that and there's no context for speed like there is on a road, it's insane how fast it seems like she's going for no real reason. It's like, if anything, it's dangerous. She's in a low-to-the-ground box car. You know what I mean?
Well,
Why is she going that way anyway?
Isn't it that if your airbags get deployed, that's almost always your car's totaled at that point too?
It depends on how new the car is because it takes a lot to repack them.
Well, not only that, but like most cars like ours, I know yours is designed like this too because it's a Hyundai, is that when you get hit in the front, your engine drops to the ground.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, our cars are designed
Makes
with
sense,
the same
though.
with the same safety measures, and it's
So
that
your
way the
engine doesn't
go
get
into the
pushed
cab.
back into you. Yeah.
So if I believe it's as hard as an airbag, but it must be more for it to actually just drop your engine to the ground. But that's 100% totaled at that case.
Oh, I mean, not necessarily. It depends on how it drops, right?
Well,
I think
airbags
that's
plus
part of
motor
it.
mounts plus your engine being potentially damaged from hitting concrete.
Sure.
And then hitting on the inside of the
Well,
hood at
if
all.
it did that, right, because of the way that the modern engine's made in that car, your oil pan would be the thing that hit first. So you'd break your oil pan, but that'd probably be about it. Realistically, there'd be some hoses that you'd have to reconnect. It wouldn't be that bad, actually.
It still probably costs about
it'd be a lot.
$10,000 to
But
get put
depends on
back in
how
at
new your
least.
car is.
Yeah.
Because what they do,
And that's just the engine.
What do they do for insurance? I've been told before, but essentially, if it takes over more than half of what the car's value is that what it is?
For what?
For them to go ahead and determine it totaled?
No, it's
Or is
the
it
value of the car.
75?
No, it's the full value of the car.
No,
No,
they'll
it's a
push.
percentage.
If it gets close to being, I mean, if it passes full value, then absolutely they'll total it. But there's even a thing where if it's 75%, you never know what you're going to run into. Some things get quoted and then still need more work, and that becomes a thing. Any quote you
So
get
they
done,
just say at 75% your car's totaled, even though it's
And I don't
75%
know-
of the value of the car.
exactly. They say, hey, if
I've never heard
the
of that.
repair amount is 75% of the current value of the car, we're going to go ahead and total it and cut our losses just in case
I wanna
we
say-
don't write a check and start doing this. And
I want to
part
say
of
the
that,
percentage is lower than that.
it probably is. I want to say half. I want to say if it breaks over 50%,
It
of
depends
what
on
it
your
costs.
insurance company in the state, I think. But
Yeah.
That's probably a lot true, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
That's our crazy situation for the day. Blaze, were you with me back in high school?
no,
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
the guy got hit on the motorcycle.
But he
with
didn't.
the dip
I
in
mean,
his mouth.
he hit a car
Yeah,
and he had no helmet on,
No.
and he was.
I missed that one.
Yeah, this one was right in front of the high school, and it was when school was letting out. So I was coming back around
Yeah,
because
What year was
Jonathan
this?
with you.
this was my senior year, so that would have been 2011.
yeah.
I
I think I remember Seth talking about this.
Seth wasn't with me either. It was Jonathan and Rachel Winchell.
Well, I'm just talking about like everybody. I'm sure everybody talking about it at school.
Yes, yeah.
That's about witnessed it.
But anyway, what ended up happening was it's funny just how different the situations are. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like for a biker, he actually got away pretty well for this accident that we were just talking about. But the one that I'm talking about here was so you know that the way that is, you have Jefferson, which is a really busy road, definitely when school lets out, and then you have
Really
the
narrow
road
road.
that goes down
That far down.
beside the new building at the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, the road that goes
Okay, yeah, I
all
know
the
what
way
you're saying.
down to the parking lot.
The one you turn left at the new building if you're going
Yes.
south on Jefferson.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, what happened is school was letting out, so both of these things are just maxed out, right? And people are just going and going and going.
Right.
And this person on a motorcycle decided all these cars are stops, but I'm on a motorcycle, so I, of course,
Like lane split?
don't have to follow these things. No, so what he did is he actually went outside of the lane and started passing the cars that way. on the pretty much what would have been a shoulder, kind of. There's not quite a shoulder.
That's a really narrow road. It's like,
it is.
Was he close to the curb?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to visualize.
He was essentially curb riding at that point. So anyway, what he was doing is he's going, and he was not doing it slowly. He literally got into that and was just going like 30 miles per hour trying to pass all these cars. And of course, what happens, the person who's there doing the directing of the traffic going through told the person that they can come from the new building. So they start going across the road that he's on. And he literally hits the front of their car and flies 2 or 3 car lengths and then lands directly on his head with no helmet on. And he had chew in his mouth, and it literally locked his jaw up and broke it. It's all sorts of crazy crap, man.
Yeah.
But, and see, that goes relative, like, mentioning that he didn't have a helmet. If he wouldn't have had a helmet on, I mean, the situation, thankfully, it wouldn't have mattered if he had a helmet on, the way it actually did turn out. But that's exactly those reasons why when you see people with motorcycles, it's like you really need to make sure you wear a helmet, because it doesn't matter if it's your fault or not.
Yeah.
Anything can get you off, and
dude,
I mean that's crazy.
If I ever get like a grom or anything, I'm wearing full riding pants, jacket, carbon gloves, helmet, everything.
Did I ever tell you about when I worked at the hospital? I'm sure I know I've told Blaze off and on. This has been years ago, but middle of the night. This is when I worked midnight shift, so the shift that Blaze works now. It was 7. It was actually a little bit different, but 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Yeah. Middle of the night, we're at the hospital, get a call from the ambulance that somebody's coming in who had an accident on their motorcycle. They weren't wearing a helmet. They weren't wearing any kind of leather. They were wearing short sleeves or sleeveless shirt, a sleeveless shirt and shorts, and didn't have boots on or anything.
Dumbass.
He literally had road rash over 70% of his body.
I'll say 70 to 80% of his body guaranteed.
It was crazy. And he was drunk. So he was drinking. He laid the bike over. He was going like 40 miles per hour, going around the curve, laid the bike over and just and then rolled with it.
See,
you get
I'm guilty of I'll wear short sleeve shirt with mine, but I always wear pants, shoes. I have the helmet.
I don't trust it because you get out of your car and every interaction you have in your car is a different interaction.
Well, man,
it's never.
I wear gloves and everything too. I got the glove, helmet.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
even for long days, if we're going riding, I've got, it's a little bit different on what you're doing, which I know you could just be going a block and get hit.
Well, I mean, you saw what just happened down here, coming out of your neighborhood practically.
Yeah.
See, like, that's the thing, is that that could happen any day of the week at any given time.
Statistically speaking, there's a thing that actually talks about
that's a fake statistic.
Most people have a wreck within their thing.
That's a myth. That's a myth.
It's not even a myth. If you really think about it, it's a statistic that's obvious.
Yeah.
Is what it is. It's not that it's something that's you're going to drive within 30 miles of your house almost all the time, because most people don't constantly drive away. So what's going to happen if you're mostly around your house, which most people drive within the vicinity of their home, you're going to end up getting into a wreck near your home because of just the way that it works out.
It's a myth at the way it's told, because
exactly that's what I'm saying. The way it's framed is
it's almost issue. It's almost always like you're sitting too close to the TV, you're going to burn your eyes out myth. That was never true.
See, but it
was to get you to like get away from the TV so your parents could watch it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
This was to get you to buckle up and not wait. It gets you to buckle up right as you're leaving home.
Sure.
To think like, oh well, if I'm near here, I'm going to more likely get in a wreck.
But it also is
and
true.
To finish what I was saying to you, if we go riding, we'll put on long sleeves.
I don't trust it at all.
But man, it's difficult when you want to go ride and enjoy it, and the weather's kind of warm. It's nice to not.
Oh no, I know. I understand.
Yeah,
why.
if we go riding, I even have a backpack type thing you should put on and straps around your waist.
That's a fanny pack.
No,
I know.
I'll rock a fanny pack.
I would too.
But it's like it's almost like a little exoskeleton backpack. Like it fits to your back, and it's a spine protector.
Yeah, and see, like that's one of those things that like you never know if a construction truck had been out on the road the night before and dropped gravel. Like, and
over there by the airport. I think I might have told Brett about it.
No, you told me about it last time you were here.
Cutting through. Yeah, there was grain or something from a truck that had fallen right there, and I just had to straight.
See, that's scary, dude. Like, I would not I would not put my life.
As long as you keep your composure and know how to brake. But
but there's accidents, man.
Yeah, no, there's always accidents. I'm not saying that's a cure all be all, but you got to keep. When you see shit like that, you can't take the time to freak out. It's like you got to make your choice. Either you're going to slow down and ride through it and try to turn through it, or you're going to fucking stop. Which one are you doing? Do it. They're indecision, and that goes for anything, even motorcycle riding, going in a car. I don't give a shit what you're doing. Indecision can get you hurt quicker than making the wrong decision.
Well, and I remember whenever I did my driving portion of my test for my license, the person driving me around said that every accident roots back to 15 seconds of a bad decision.
Or 15 seconds of indecision.
Well, when you're learning,
I think that's true across the board, right? Because not making a decision is technically a bad decision.
Being indecisive about a decision that leads to a bad decision is still a bad decision, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So it's one of those things that's like, And it goes with almost everything, right? Like you think you're going to speed through here, and it's just like, well, if you would have taken those, it's like butterfly effect in a way. It's just in your car. Like if you didn't speed for these past 15 seconds, you wouldn't be where that truck is, and that truck wouldn't have rear-ended you or
Well,
whatever.
I'll say that
sure.
with on a motorcycle, you really can't do like what you do in a car and get kind of in that zone of being like,
Rush,
what do
basically.
I need? No, not even a rush, but like, that spaced out just going down the road. Like you don't even remember that you drove for a little bit.
It doesn't happen on a motorcycle.
It doesn't happen on a motorcycle because you feel it. And the thing is, you got to be.
Well, it's more.
You got to
than
be thinking about. You think about 10 car lengths ahead is what you're always looking ahead. You're never looking right in front of you because I mean you know how quick a dead raccoon can pop up.
What's it called? Like that motorcycle riders get? It's that fixation thing.
I mean, what do you mean, like a hyper focus?
No. It's like I remember reading something online about a motorcycle wreck, and they said that a lot of motorcyclists get something where they focus on one point too much, and that one point is typically
like a tunnel vision.
Yeah, almost. But it's a very specific thing they see that they just focus on while they're riding. It's almost like they zone out, but they're really focusing about something.
A lot of times you want to look, you end up wanting to look real close to your front, but you can't. You gotta stay ahead. Yeah, you stay looking down traffic. Like I said, a good 10 car lengths ahead. You want to be looking ahead for the next 5 seconds.
I really want a moped, but like I really don't trust this town's driving.
No, this town sucks. I don't drive that anywhere besides like to Brett's and back, and then down the.
See, and that's the thing is like if I had a moped, I would be scared of taking it to work because like where I work,
furthest I took it
around.
out to the lake over by the university.
Bringle,
yeah.
But we took the back roads, like all the way from. Like
probably going up way North State Line.
We
Dogwood.
North State Line went through Dogwood.
That's instead be a pretty
drive.
No, that's what we did.
And like that, if I got a moped, I would love to do stuff like that. But
we ended up on that part of Summerhill over there, that deep end near those law offices, and that part was kind of like oh shit, I don't like this. It was.
That's actually a pretty busy road, despite being a back way.
And it's also 55 miles per hour.
It's high.
Yeah, we got over there by accident trying to get. Because we thought we took the wrong road trying to get to Bringle. And,
it was
very. You still have to cross Summerhill no matter what.
Yeah, because you come out of Dogwood, North Summerhill, then you
we went a little too far down.
Oh, okay. And
so we had to come back near that, and anyway. But it was kind of
one of the things that we've talked about across the board, right? Even before you got yours, one of the things we always talked about, like, hey, if we end up getting a motorcycle, one of the main things that we want to be able to do now that we both have vehicles or trucks, if we needed to. So if you really wanted to,
we wanted to take them
exactly,
like somewhere like Hot Springs.
Take them to Hot Springs, drive to the hill. That's all very small.
And for the people from not around here, Hot Springs.
But me and him have done it.
It's like a touristy little town that's kind of on the mountainside, and it's known for its hot springs. It's a very very lax. It's got actually a biker culture that's kind of stays down.
Yeah,
exactly. So there's a mountain that has like a watchtower on it, and it's very light traffic, and there's a lot of hills. So you actually literally cannot drive a car for real, because they're narrow roads. You can't drive a car fast.
We have to take the Forerunner.
No, absolutely not. You have to ride your brake the entire way down.
Exactly.
Yeah, we take the Forerunner whenever we do that.
Yeah. So
I would be terrified to ride through that thing on a bike because there's just not people paying attention coming up front.
See, I wouldn't, because it's so open. Like you can actually see the road going all the way up, and you have to be so slow that actually with the bike you can outmaneuver any vehicle.
Could a Grom even make that altitude?
Yeah, absolutely.
It loses.
It would lose power, but
it loses power. But you're not going over 50 over there.
Exactly.
Well, no, it feels like at some point, since the Grom's so small a lot, that your front end would lift up because you are going.
No, that's not the way the bikes are designed. It's not like there's nothing aerodynamic about it to give you lift. Like,
I'm saying, in order to go fast enough to take you up this hill, you would end up having to go.
Oh, you're talking about leaning back?
Yeah, you'd be leaning back.
That's just from design. That's physics at that point.
Yeah,
that wouldn't
and all
happen.
bikes are designed with stuff like that in mind.
That wouldn't happen.
Yeah. And even then, okay, like a perfect example, anytime that you design a bike, even people who do custom bikes, you always keep that thing in mind, and you either have it to where all your weight is dead center because it keeps that from happening anyway, and then you still have shocks to go in. So most bikes don't try to be front heavy to keep from doing that. Instead, what they do is try and put most of their weight at the front, because it's actually, a lot of people see people doing like wheelies and stuff on a motorcycle and think that's really easy. No, it's actually really hard to make the bike overcome the weight of its own engine, because that's what you have to do. You have to pull that back so hard.
That makes sense.
So
the engine behind a Grom's like what, 300 pounds, I think?
No,
200 pounds?
the bike's 250.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's essentially a glorified moped.
Yeah.
I didn't know that bike was so light.
But it has a bigger engine, so it's technically not a moped. But I mean, it's in the interim between
a
the normal
150
bike.
cc?
Yeah, it's 150.
I'd get a 100cc moped at most in this town.
No, then it's
no,
not a moped. A
it's-
moped stops at 49.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
If it's past 49, you've got a
It's
motorcycle.
yeah, and the thing about that is also the
You have to have
classification of a
insurance.
moped
That's right,
doesn't mean that
because-
you don't have to have an insurance.
since
You don't
it's-
have to have a license. Nothing.
I thought you had to get a license to be
Nope.
on any roadway in a motorized vehicle.
Nope. It's why some people definitely in the South. You know what's funny? People look at that movie and think, "Oh, that's just a dumb joke." But there are people who literally do, like in Little Nicky, or not Little Nicky. I'm sorry, in The Waterboy, where he's driving the lawnmower around town. There's people who do that because technically there's no law against it in most southern places.
I would think that you're on a motorized vehicle on a roadway.
Doesn't matter. What is a motorized vehicle and how they classify it? All the laws say
a
that.
vehicle has been propelled forward by a motor.
Well, I say how, not you. How does the law classify it?
That's what I would think it would
No,
classify.
the law
as.
classifies it as anything with a motor. Because the other thing about that is, those small electronic motors that people can put on their bicycles to make them motorized bicycles, and they only go about 20 miles per hour, but you don't have to pedal at all.
Yeah, it's probably the same thing as the scooters.
It's the same thing. It's the same idea as that. So you don't have to have the scooter is technically motorized. You don't have
well,
to
that
have
makes
a
sense,
license
but you're not supposed
do
to
it.
go on streets on those.
But you
You're not
can.
supposed to stay on sidewalk. Well, you're not supposed to.
Well, I mean, you
It's-
technically have to go on a street to do crossing and stuff like that, correct?
I mean, you're in a crosswalk, yeah, but you're
Yeah.
not going down an actual residential or commercial street.
Well, and I don't even know the laws on that. That goes to show
At
how.
least the one I rode in Dallas, like it specifically told you to avoid streets, like go only on sidewalks.
Well,
on this
avoid, but
one.
is that just for safety or is that actually legality? And that's something that's probably not made clear. It's
Yeah,
probably for
probably
them
gray
to
area.
safety, right? Because they don't want you to get hit, so you can't try and
I
sue them.
wonder.
But also, they don't want, even if you don't get hurt, they don't want you to destroy their little scooter. You know what I mean? But my point being is that most places they actually say when you're doing that, if it's an engine that's 50 cc's or over, then you require a license.
Okay, I was like,
And
I
that could
thought
still
Lime
be
was spelled-
different per state due to the way that the country's set up. Every state can have their own things. But I mean, in Arkansas and in Texas both, you can ride a moped that's 49 cc's, no problem. No insurance, no anything.
You have to have
Apparently-
you do have to have a scooter tag though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scooter companies require users that they are at least 18 years old and must require users to upload their photos of their driver's license. I don't remember having to do that, but
What do you mean?
for Lime.
I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How do people around? Because the first thing that pops up is a Lime S Scooters FAQ from the University of Toledo saying most users or must users have a valid driver's license to operate them. Yes, when the users register the Lime app, they will have to provide this information. I don't remember that though.
No, but they could have a database that they can tap into. Who knows? But realistically, if you're listening to this and you don't know what we're talking about, there are little motorized scooters in bigger, metroplex areas where you can actually roll around. You go to them and they're essentially provided like an Uber thing. You download an app, you scan a barcode that's on them, it unlocks the scooter's motor, and the scooter has a GPS and everything to tell you where they are. They get charged whenever they get low enough. You just park them. They know that the battery's there. Someone will come pick them up, charge them. So it's essentially just a way to move around bigger areas without having to drive, because a place like Dallas, which is in Texas, it's one of the bigger cities in Texas, you can actually it's really hard to even want to get your car out in that stuff because it's just crazy. It's not like, when we live in a town our city that's still actually pretty big. Our city's 150,000 people or something like that, which is relatively, when you think about it in that size, I mean, it's big. So when you keep thinking about situations like that, you don't want to drive in a place that's got, 1 million people in one little area that are driving crazily. It's a big change up for us. So we went there and chose to do that. But they're
And we
also
scooted.
super fucking rad. They're so fun.
Dude, I spent my
People
intro
were
spent
looking
like
at us,
2
we were doing
hours
little
on
jumps.
those.
Dude, realistically,
doing
I know
jumps.
that if you were driving and looking at us, we probably look
Looked
so
like
smug
nerds,
and
yeah.
ass like look at this nerd.
No, dude. At least
We were-
where did y'all ride them at? Dallas?
Yeah, we
Dude,
were
There's
down-
so many people in
We were
Dallas
in
riding those things
downtown
around.
Dallas, and it was so fun though because we were over there jumping with them and stuff like that. So we're just like seeing a little thing and then like ramping over them and like pulling them up and doing like little bunny hops with them and stuff. But it's fun, and that's just how it goes. The pain of learning how to use the mic arms and getting used to them.
It's not using. I'm just having to readjust because I'm set up.
Yeah, I actually do. These are really comfortable. I'm glad we got these.
They are. It's
Being
just,
able to lean back in a chair doing this.
There's a ghost in your house because
There's
the
a-
dogs are put up.
There's a cat in my house.
That's true too. Apparently, yeah, on the Limes, in Arkansas specifically, in Limes thing, that you do have to have a valid driver's license to operate a Lime vehicle.
Maybe it's different in Texas. Texas is that great state that has no income. I mean, no state tax.
That was saying it's required you have to stay on the sidewalks, which we stayed on the sidewalks.
We got in the road a couple spots.
Yeah, well, because we had to go across.
Well, even then, you think about times where like there's a lot of roads. Like if they introduce those in Texarkana and you're technically supposed to be able to ride them anywhere, you know how many roads in Texarkana legitimately just do not have sidewalks?
Well, that's why because our infrastructure is not set up for stuff like that.
Yeah, but
It's
I mean, it's
also
true in
not set
Dallas
up-
though. If we're being honest too, you know, I mean,
there's
places in Dallas that still don't have them because you think about
Maybe in
situations
suburbs.
like this. No, even like the building that we were talking about that's over behind Redbone, that's got that building that's dead in the corner. There's no sidewalk on either side of that building because that building goes directly into the corner. There's probably about a 6-inch easement on both sides of that building, and that building goes for a while.
I wonder if you rent a scooter.
I'll give you my 6-inch easement.
I wonder if you rent a scooter and you get caught riding on a road around an area that doesn't have a sidewalk, who's at fault? Is it you for riding the scooter in that area, or is it the scooter's owner, company that owns it?
I would imagine that 9 times out of 10 it's unimportant unless an accident happens, right?
Yeah, who's that cop pulling over someone else?
Yeah, because
That boy's on a scooter.
that would never happen.
Well, you know what's crazy even then, like, you know, when you have situations, that bike that y'all like to make fun of that's out there. But
I
anyway,
never made fun of that bike.
the thing
I did.
thing about it, yeah, Blaze did. But the thing about it is that engine, because it's a tiller engine, is way bigger than even 150 cc's because 150 cc's is literally the size of the engine. That's way bigger than that by space. But because it's technically not an engine that's made to be on the highway anyway.
Since it's handmade, how does that result if you did decide to take it out and you get pulled over?
No idea.
No idea. Literally, I've looked a lot. It's essentially an illegal gray area. And the thing is, I've had cops stop me back when I was young and driving it, and even more recently when I go and take it on things, and they don't do anything. They're not even stopping me to say, hey, you shouldn't be driving or anything. Every time that I get stopped,
They're
they
trying
go,
to figure out what you are
dude, what the
riding
hell
on."
is that thing?
Yeah.
And then I explain it to them, and they're like, that's cool. And then they just go, like,
It's a
"All right,
lawnmower
be
motor."
safe.
That's how most of the Grom pull over. Like, I haven't got pulled over yet, but Thor has, and a lot of people
And
I've
it's
talked
like,
to.
what are
It's
you
like,
riding?
He's like, is that a scooter and motorcycle? I'm like, no, man. Most of them are like, here's my insurance. Here's the, okay, what kind of engine? 150 cc? Oh, 4-stroke? Yeah. Oh.
Do you naturally, as a police, have to kind of have some basic knowledge of things like motorcycles just because?
Motorcycles, I would think so, because the way that they operate and stuff, like you need to know like modifications done to them and stuff. Because I remember something Jesse did with another friend on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
They both had Gixxers, which are like 1999 or 1990 Kawasaki, I think, or Yamaha.
I don't know. I don't know
one of 'em.
enough about bikes. I mean, I like motorcycles and I'd like to get into them. It's just
Yeah, I just don't. I don't
have
get
the
into
money.
all the crotch rocket area though.
I'm gonna get a Grom one of these days, and then we're gonna have to make that Grom life. We're gonna have to lean into it almost
we
like
gotta put the ass butt
pain
stickers.
It's a
Really?
Suzuki.
We had to put the ass butt stickers on them.
yeah.
But
I like. How do we just and what's the first time you said it, how did we land on ass butts?
That's just what I called it.
And it works in every way.
But they were like really cool old school bikes that had like the 90s like pink and light blue on them and
Yeah.
stuff like that, kind of like early 80s,
That
early
late 80s,
yeah,
early 90s aesthetic.
But like they specifically said that like his buddy's name is John. He said that if John had something on his bike tuned a certain way, and if a cop knew what he was doing and pulled him over, he would probably get that bike towed away. It was some illegal modification done to that bike, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if I was also being BS by Jesse because I don't know anything about bikes.
I mean, you could be, but there's also a lot of things that fall out of the law. I mean, you can do that easily with guns too. It's like, well, this gun is legal in every way except for this one thing.
Well, and that's the thing is I don't know.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
And even then, when you think about the
Well,
fact that the
barrel
government initiated the bump stock, ban and stuff like that, it's like when that stuff starts to happen, you can have a gun that is literally legal one day and the next day not. And I think that there's something to be said about the fact that I don't necessarily know. You would imagine, is the onus on us as a citizen to keep up when laws change, or should there be something that kind of goes, hey, there's been a pretty big law change that can affect a lot of people, we're going to send a blast out. When you're in the age of the internet and how many people have that, or even just want to do mass mailing, that might be something that you want to mass mail out to people, even if it's people that you just know, oh, hey, this person has a motorcycle registered. If they have this and there's a chance that they've done something to it that was legal but now it's not, we need to send everybody out who has a motorcycle and say, hey, if you have a motorcycle or thinking about buying another one or whatever, this is what you can do. And you can send it to people who only have motorcycles. In the case of guns, you could say, this person has a registered rifle. We're going to send it to them and say, hey, if you've done anything to this rifle that was legal, here's the new laws. It may have made it illegal, so go ahead and change it or whatever. I don't know. That's weird. I think about that sometimes when laws change and if you leave and come back and you're not sure of where the laws are, what happens? You know,
I think at any time, if you plead ignorant, there's never an excuse in that.
Well, yeah, no, ignorance is not the excuse of the law, but at the same time, it is a genuine excuse. So sometimes you are, and you know, one of the things that's funny about the way of the word ignorant is a lot of people think about it in a pejorative way, but I don't think that it's necessarily that, right? Because it's, if you really think about it, ignorance is truly that you just did not have the knowledge of the situation, and you don't have to be stupid to not have the knowledge of something. You just don't know.
Yeah, if you look at it ignorant as like a derogatory term, it's like you're wrong.
And some people use
ignorant.
it. Some people use it derogatorily, but I don't think that that's necessary. It's not part and parcel.
It's not, no. And
when you say someone's ignorant, I think most people would have a negative connotation about it, but it's I'm specifically saying that they're just ignorant. That doesn't mean that I think they're stupid.
Of the situation
they just didn't have the knowledge necessary.
About,
yeah. So,
and everybody's ignorant about something.
Exactly, because who has all the knowledge in the world?
Right. And I think that
You ignorant slut.
if you get pulled over and say like,
Dwight, you ignorant slut.
say like a speed limit changed on your road that you live on, and it went from 35 to 55, and or say 55 from 35, and you're going 55, and you get pulled over, and the speed limit changed, and you didn't see a sign, like you plead ignorant, you're still gonna get a speeding ticket, even though they didn't mail you something. Now, if they should have mailed you something because it's your residential road that you live on,
See, that's what I mean. Like, there's enough things with the way that our government determines how we have to do things. It's like you have to register your property. They know you live there, so why wouldn't they go, "Hey, the speed limit changed on this road. People who travel this road for this reason, we're going to send it to them. If they live on that road at bare minimum, then we're going to send it to them. That way, if they're on that road, they don't get caught." Because think about it this way. How second nature are you? If you ride a road often, do you actually really go out of your way to pay attention to the speed limit signs like you do when you're in an area that you're not completely familiar with? Like when I find myself in an area I don't know, I'm way more vigilant about being like, where is the speed limit sign and what's the speed limit? And you kind of guess your way on speed limit until you see it and go, I'm within range or I'm not.
It's like on 82. There's not one for
forever.
I still don't know. I lived out there for 2 years. I still don't know what
the speed limit is. Yeah. That's kind of what I mean.
See, am I the only one, and this may just be because of my area and the roads I'm familiar with, is like 30-mile-per-hour roads down like certain residential neighborhoods just useless? Like, shouldn't it be a little bit faster?
No.
Well,
and I say residential as if there's like kids and stuff, but like think of
the road. Think if it's somewhere like around you or around Brett, we used to walk to school. There's gonna be all sorts of kids. 30's kind of fast, dude. You hit someone going 30, they're
well.
hurt.
I'm specifically thinking of I don't know the name of the road, but it's the one that's parallel to the cemetery on the other side of the road I live on. It's you can cut to it through the neighborhoods. I'm being very vague for a very big reason.
I know which one you're talking about. Sanderson.
No.
That I don't know.
Anyway, it's like there's no houses that are on that road specifically, but it's 25. Or no, it's 20. It's low. It's lower than my road, which doesn't make any sense.
Well, maybe you shouldn't be in such a hurry.
It's not that I'm in such a hurry. It's just like there are certain roads around this town that's like this should be like what you were talking about. It should be 50, like especially for like little mini highways.
It shouldn't. The roads should never be 50. Highways is where it's 50.
Well,
because like 67 that we're on, you're thinking about highway. That's a highway. That's Highway 67.
Arkansas Boulevard's 35.
Mm-hmm. No, Arkansas Boulevard's 30. Well, it's 35 until Walmart,
and that's
like
plenty.
3 blocks.
I'm
not saying it's not. I'm just saying that there are certain roads in this town that have really weird speed limits for no reason.
See, and state line's technically a highway. It's just it goes through a city.
Speaking of
at that point.
Speaking of roads that have really weird speed limits. What's the speed limit on Richmond Road?
40.
40, I thought.
50, and then
no, it's 50 when you pass the about Chick-fil-A and stuff. It goes 50 when you get out towards that way towards where Hannah works.
It's 50.
It's 40. It's 40.
No, it's 50 up until Chick-fil-A, and then when you get to neighborhood Walmart, it's 55.
Okay, well I don't.
We're gonna have to look at that because I don't think that doesn't sound right.
No, it's
there's so many places.
I'll Google it right now.
What is the speed limit? Does Google have that information?
The Maps does.
I know Maps will tell you in certain areas where it's at. Anyway, we've talked about this for a long time, surprisingly.
There's nothing else going on in my life.
Well, maybe we need to talk about the fact that there's nothing else going on in your life, Saul. But anyway.
Well, I like the community talk a lot because it almost gets you it gets people like, this is a better way of getting to know us than reader mail in a way. It's more casual.
I guess reader mail's more.
And we've debated
targeted.
Bringing it up on either Patreon or the Discord of not necessarily. We don't want it to be a topic-based podcast, but every now and then
have something the interstitial in.
Yeah,
with.
Like if people had a question or something, they really want to hear us. I don't know why you're listening. Want to hear us in the first place, but if you do,
Yeah.
We're definitely not doing questions for this podcast.
Yeah, no, I think instead of questions, right?
Just a discussion.
3 words max topic.
And not every
and that would be what it
time
is.
either.
You know, it would be like, hey, what? And I see it'd be figuring out where to go with that, right? Because what you would use it in is you use it in situations where you feel like you're at a point where you don't know how to go to the next topic naturally, which will undoubtedly happen. And then it's like, well, hey, y'all put them there, and then we'll essentially pull them out whenever we think we need. But it gets weird. I think what we probably should do in this situation, and if anybody who listens wants to let us know, we need to get the Twitter going so that we have some kind of a social media presence for the show.
Because Twitter was fighting us.
We will do that. Yeah, we've been getting fought across the board, but we are
Was
going
Twitter
to be
fighting
on
us too?
iTunes now, but not for the name. It was for my mistake. But anyway, if you want to listen to this on iTunes now, if you're not listening on iTunes for whatever reason, you can. iTunes finally gave in and agreed with us that the name is not in and of itself explicit. So that was nice. We get to do that. But yeah, I think if y'all want to be able to find a way, if you think, I think what I'd say do, right? Every episode we have one topic. Anybody can submit them or whatever they are. Maybe we do it through Patreon, whatever. But every episode we have one topic that we'll eventually pull in. Either we start with it or we just go from a specific situation, we'll pull it in. And that'll be the thing. And it's just simple. So it'd be like
That's weird.
aliens, conspiracy theories, which we already covered in some ways.
Man, Google
there's,
Maps has changed up so much. It's like, there we go. Never mind. I don't know how I figured that out. But I would agree, and I would say Patreon honestly would probably be the best bet for that kind of thing. But it's hard too, right? Because when you do reader mail, you are almost always getting patrons anyways. It's very rare we get a
most of our reader mail questions do come from patrons. There are some that are out, I don't know. That's one of those things. Look, Blaze is interested in this. He goes, I want to know that I was right.
I thought he was about to look at the access road. I was gonna be like, "Down, no,
No,
cheater."
Because the access road is 45, actually,
Yeah.
isn't it?
No, I promise you that road's 40.
No, the access road's 45.
I'm not the
He-
access road. I'm
he's
saying
talking about
Richmond.
Richmond.
Richmond is
Oh.
40 until
That-
you get out past, and then it goes up to.
The light that's at Minton Sportsplex, I think, is where it changes.
Is there no like speed limit signs on Richmond Road?
Not for a while.
I don't think that there is. Are you trying to go through the
I'm literally
Yeah,
street
he-
view?
viewing.
Saul wants
Let me-
to be right so
Let me
badly.
cross the
Oh,
street.
I
No,
was
I think
at-
that's the speed limit sign right there.
Oh, but that's not Richmond. That's Gibson.
No, this is on the right hand side of Richmond Road. This right here is
Blaze over there giving it the old ostrich neck.
Hmm?
I can't move
Where
now.
are we?
I mean, I
Can
was
I-
just a delivery driver for 5 years.
Would
but-
you eat ostrich? If
Oh,
someone,
absolutely. I would eat anything.
Do you
At least once.
do you
Any
land?
meat.
Do you land on the side of any meat?
Yeah.
Actually, we've already talked about it. You know, the topic of the guy who had to get his leg amputated for a reason, and he did a bunch of legal stuff to make sure it was fine, and then had a chef that he agreed to cook it, and they had to do paperwork for him, and all of the friends signed the paperwork for it, and the guy took his leg.
Yeah, we
Pulled the
talked
meat
about
off
that.
of it
we
and
talked
made
about that.
tacos.
Talked about that last episode.
I didn't think we did.
If
No,
we did, we talked about that
we
in
talked
person.
about it on the porch.
Yeah, we've talked about
Okay,
it.
I was like, we talked about that in person. I was getting us confused then.
But yeah, we definitely have landed on the topic of I would do the same, right?
Can I fly?
And I think what was going through that guy's head had to have been like, this is the one chance that I'll have
Yeah.
to eat human meat and do it in a humane way. I know where it came from. I know where this meat's been.
I know what my diet's been.
Yeah. But what a crazy thing, man.
Blaze was right. 40.
I thought so.
Yeah,
I'll be damned. The delivery driver for 5 years.
but it gets to 55 at the end, not
Yeah.
50.
Yeah, he said it was either 50 or 55 down toward the end.
Right.
Which makes
I know
sense.
it's a 15 mile per hour increase within like half a mile.
Well,
though.
but
Have you ever
there's
been on 82 where it literally goes down by 5 miles per hour every mile when you're coming back toward 67? It's incredible. If you're out toward, outside 82 where he used to live and you keep coming back in, once you start getting into the part that looks kind of like downtown,
Wheeze.
it just constantly goes down. It's like you're just trying to trap somebody.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'd eat ostrich.
I'd eat.
I want to try
Do you
bear.
feel like it tastes like chicken? Because
Oh,
in my
absolutely.
mind, it's just like,
It's just duck. No, it'd be duck.
I guess. Do you think? Okay,
Duck's
here's
a
the
little
thing,
different.
right? Though,
I don't like
Well,
eating duck though. It makes me
light-
sad.
light.
Dude, ducks are cute as shit.
Ducks are cute, but I mean, ducks can also be assholes. So I guess it's kind of just where you land.
Oh, so can horses.
Horses can be assholes. Well, I guess the moral of that story is
No, they're-
everything can
I
be
think.
an asshole.
Hey, would you
They're
eat a
all
horse
just dickish
before
at
you,
best.
Would you eat a horse before you ate a goat?
No, I'd eat goat because goat is more commonly eaten in more places than
It is.
Actually,
but
isn't there
then
like a
horse.
super rare disease that you can get from only eating goat?
I don't know.
probably.
I think that,
I mean,
Probably.
I think that
you can get a disease from eating pork. I mean, if you really think about it. So I mean,
I don't-
I wouldn't be
I don't
surprised. There's a
really-
disease that you can get from eating cow.
no, like I mean, like a
Mad
it's
cow.
it's very similar to what
Disease?
mad cow disease is, but it's for
well, you
goat.
know what mad cow disease comes from, right?
It's parasites, right?
Well, it's a parasite caused from them feeding them food that has other cow like brains in it. So
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
That's what they're worried about. If people ever were cannibals, what would cause essentially mad cow disease in humans? There's something about eating a similar brains of your species that causes something to go wrong, and that's what mad cow disease.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the reason. I knew that it had something to do with that, but I thought it was something in like a parasite that gets in the brain. I thought it was
Well,
something
it's-
along the lines of like there was a cow that had a brain parasite that died, and then the other cow eats the brain parasite, and it just kind of goes through.
It comes from them feeding them parts of other cows in there.
That's kind of odd, but I guess I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
well, that's what they're worried about if people ever just started.
Well, that's why I don't mess around with like ground beef and like chuck or whatever. That's why every burger I make with that's well done. Like I do not mess around.
Well, see,
with
if
that
I
thing.
get a burger, I make sure it's steak meat.
right,
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
just saying, like if I'm at somewhere and like I'm like, hey,
I don't
these
even
burgers well
I don't
done?
even eat ground beef.
It depends. Like
Oh, I
it's,
do.
It's real easy to make for like tacos and stuff.
No,
Yeah.
we do turkey.
Turkey
Turkey
tacos
tacos?
are awful. So is turkey spaghetti.
Oh, dude, turkey spaghetti for sure is
It's
awful.
No,
terrible.
I've
turkey
had
spaghetti is awful. Turkey burgers are fine if you're
Turkey burgers are fine
if you
depending
don't
on
mind.
who and
Dude,
where
hey,
makes them.
And turkey beef stroganoff is okay. Well, I mean turkey stroganoff,
Yeah.
whatever you want.
I was like,
It's
beef
okay.
But
stroganoff.
no, what is
I've had it.
horrible in stroganoff or hamburger helper? Deer.
Oh, it's
Deer
awful.
meat is god
It's
awful.
because
Terrible.
it doesn't work well.
It
with, like,
does.
noodles
It
and
is the
stuff.
worst.
My
it's
dad's
horrible.
tried that before. We wasted
It's
really good
yeah,
deer meat for
perfectly
that.
good meat because I was like, it's ground. It'll fucking work.
Yeah.
Deer doesn't work with anything. I essentially for me, deer is by itself. You might be able to put it in a soup and make it work out. But I mean, realistically, when you're dealing with deer, the best way to eat it is just as deer meat. Just eat it as it is, cook it as it is. You know,
Deer
I mean,
sausage or something.
yeah, but still,
I
by
actually
itself.
don't like deer sausage that much.
You ever
Like,
had deer jerky?
yeah, that's actually the most common way I've eaten deer. is
Really?
jerky. Yeah, my uncle makes it.
Y'all ever eat squirrel?
Once.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Have you ever had shark?
No,
No.
I've had gator. More than we had
I've
at
had
your
gator.
dad's house
Shark,
at once.
shark's essentially calamari tasting.
Gator is actually very
A little bit,
common.
Something
around
about being
bit
in the
less
water
tough.
all
A
the
little less
time.
tough. But
here. Gator is very common around here. There's
Yeah.
there's a food
Oh, yeah.
truck that sells it.
Yeah.
gator on
that,
a stick.
that moves.
Gator on a stick, boy.
And like that's honestly one of the coolest things I've seen in Texarkana lately is like this food truck apparently has really good barbecue and like it never stays in the same location and you got
And they just move around. I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to do a food
They're pretty
truck.
smart though. They move at the right places in the right time of day.
It's Summerhill that I'm thinking about that is 50 miles per hour in right next to apartments and red lights everywhere.
No, look, and that's the area near the area where I was telling you it gets busy.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the part that doesn't make sense at all because you almost never can go 50. through
And
that area.
there's a lot of nice neighborhoods around there too. I'm actually surprised that no one's
That's around
petitioned to
those
get it.
apartments and those
Those apartments
young
are
boy
nice.
and all that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Those apartments sparks. Well, I'm not gonna say them out loud just in case. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
those apartments are actually fairly nice.
Yeah.
I've been in them before, and
They're expensive.
no, they're.
I mean, not as bad as you'd think, but
I think they're cheaper than what I live
Dude,
in.
housing is so cheap here that I actually feel bad
Yeah.
on a podcast saying that something's expensive, here.
yeah.
Because
Because I think it was like $700 a month for it.
how many people how
But
many people
that
who
was
do we
that was the summer move in.
yeah
Dude,
but how many
Somehow.
people do we know that listen to this podcast? Richard, Florida, Portland,
Kiki and all them are Seattle
yeah, or well, they're
or Portland. yeah.
Oregon, really.
Oregon,
if we just
yeah.
want to say in general, because they're not technically in Portland. But anyway, when
Yeah,
you
it's
think
like
about that,
that's when we say Texas.
but you're
technically Arkansas.
talking about all these places that have incredibly high cost of living. Definitely where these people are
Dude,
at.
the easiest comparison to make is Joe. Joe lives in Dallas. Joe has a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, and he pays, I think it's $1,300 or $1,150, some weird number.
No.
And that's actually low for Dallas.
Dude, and I
because
live-
he's not completely in the Dallas area. He's outside of the busiest.
Yeah,
he's in
I'm not gonna say
Richardson?
no. He's not Richland.
You don't want to say it in
No,
general?
yeah, I'm not gonna say where,
I
but
don't
yeah,
care. That's fine. That makes
he's
sense.
in a suburb out Dallas.
Yeah, but he's not dead in Dallas because it gets more expensive the closer you get to the center.
He's in one of the closest suburbs to Dallas. It's only like a 5-minute drive, really.
That's still
and
pretty
that's
good,
fast
though.
for Dallas.
Yeah.
but
1,100 in Dallas is
well, dude,
good.
that's the thing is that like 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and he doesn't have high ceilings.
Yeah.
I have 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, high ceilings, and a balcony.
For 800, something?
$800 a month.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy, you know.
And he's like I've asked him before, like, how is your apartment laid out? And it sounds like it's laid out like the links were,
Yeah.
where it's essentially no hallways at all, except for the hallway between the 2 bedrooms,
yeah,
and that's it. And then at the end of the hallway is the bathroom.
I guess technically it's a hallway then. At that point, it's just a weird hallway.
It's a dead end hallway, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, aren't all hallways naturally dead end?
Well, it typically leads you somewhere, right? Like
I mean-
another part. Like if I think of a hallway, I think it's leading. It's a bridge betwing two areas of somewhere, like
Well, okay.
two living areas. I should
Do
say.
you remember the house we used to live out in the
The
country?
interdimensional.
Do you remember that it's all
Yeah.
there, and then the hallway is just door?
Yeah,
It's
I'd say
just
that's a dead end hallway.
Yeah.
Like what mine is technically is a dead end hallway.
exactly.
But I would think of a hallway like in a traditional house is like this house doesn't really have a hallway because
This house doesn't have a hallway, and
interconnected.
it's a huge house. It's weird.
Yeah. But I would say like Ed's house, the hallway it's in the living room that goes out. It just goes out to another living area.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
which is the office or whatever. Then it goes around into the kitchen. It's
Well,
open.
I had a friend's brother who had an apartment in Dallas, and theirs was like a hall, like you can go down a hallway, and then there's just doors, and it's like each one's an apartment, and it was like it was big living room and a big bedroom and a little kitchen.
But was it behind a door?
Yeah, like
That's
it
weird.
was like a hotel. Let's just put it like that. It was
Yeah.
like a hotel.
That's weird. I actually think I would prefer something like that in a weird way.
Well, when you get into people like a lot of towns, and a lot of towns do this, or a lot of cities do, when they have a downtown, when people start driving away from downtown business-wise, even if there are businesses, even if there's a business on the first floor, the second floor will be, this happens in Hot Springs, Dallas, everywhere. The second floor of the area will be lofts. And lofts get pretty interesting because they're normally in pretty old buildings. And then what that ends up doing is that they find ways to kind of convert the building into a living area. So, you know,
I
like
guess that was
Cody's,
kinda- Cody's
Cody's old one,
It
that was
had
awesome. It had
technically a hallway.
huge ceilings. And it was
But
literally
it was
just
like an old
a
building
bathroom.
that
They put in a
redid.
wall.
Yeah,
and then
it's
it was
just
just a kitchen, a living room, and then
studio
a big,
apartment.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's just like there's no real wall in it.
It was
Like, it's just-
essentially a smaller version of this house. No hallway.
No walls.
No hallway, and then there's one there again. They put in like a faux wall divider, but there's still a huge opening between it.
Yeah.
that goes into a
it'd be
bedroom.
essentially as if you took out your wall behind your stove. I mean your washer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
essentially.
And it's just very open. I like stuff like that too, but something like
With a kid, no, and that's
No,
why they
yeah.
moved out of it. But dude, if I was a single person, or even if it was just me and my wife, I'd live in that. No
yeah,
problem.
I wouldn't mind it, but there's just something about being so open, like where it's almost like there's no point of like
Is it the opposite of claustrophobic? You don't like it being too open?
Yeah.
hide.
yeah, it's like I can't like
No privacy.
Then again, if somebody breaks in your apartment, there's nowhere for them to hide. There's no walls for them to hide behind.
That's true.
It's just open. But that's what I'm glad about is that like I'm really really glad that like at the links, dude, I was scared somebody's gonna break in.
Yeah,
But
sure.
like at mine now, it's like there's no thought in my mind about that.
Oh, it's crazy how places can change. Like you were talking about that cop that you were speaking with who lives there, and he said it was better.
Yeah, and I don't
And that's
know.
crazy because that's a place that 4 years ago.
It went
It was
to
pretty rough.
governmental housing.
Well, yeah, but it was just rough. I mean, regardless of the reason, I don't really know what it was. It was just that place was bad.
Well, I'm not saying it's rough because of the governmental housing, but like there was a lot more big families moving into these really, really small
That's
apartments.
true, too.
Which
You get-
tends to like lots of kids everywhere.
Mhm.
And then when you have lots of kids everywhere, like there
Kids
was,
naturally go through their damage phasing.
well, it's not even that. It's just loud kids running around everywhere, and it's very loud of a place to live, which is the exact opposite of where I want to live.
I guess that's a weird thing, right? It depends on where you are. Like, you have no plans, no intention to have a kid, and I completely am fine with that. I mean,
Right.
I think everybody should make that decision on their own. I find it very odd when people do this thing where they have family members or friends or just even random people that they worked with, like, are you sure you don't want to have a kid?
Oh, yeah,
it's
dude.
fulfilling in
It's-
life. It's like, dude, these are people that have made a decision
You know what's
for
fulfilling
themselves.
in life? Having a full ass wallet and not having to worry about any responsibility other than a cat and
Yeah.
myself and my wife.
And you were hesitant to get a cat forever because you were like, I just don't want the extra
And
responsibility.
she's perfect. She sleeps all day. She plays when she wants to, and then she cuddles me when she wants to. And It's just
Exactly.
like, hey, you want pets?
It's
And
like
she'll look-
Tabby. Tabby's the most low maintenance cat I've ever
Yeah,
had.
it's-
Actually, I take that back. The only other low maintenance cat I'd ever had was Garfield that we had out.
Yeah.
He was awesome,
But-
but he was essentially a dog.
Yeah, and
when
it's
you
just
think
like,
about it.
I have so much like stuff going on with my life that like I need all the free time I can get, or I will go insane.
I think that you're phrasing that in a different way than I would. I think that by your standard, you have so much going on in your life that you wouldn't want to give up any free time. But I think that if you really think about it, the biggest hurdle you have for your true free time is that you're not on a set schedule. If
I'm
you're-
on a set schedule, but I'm not
Well,
on a set schedule. Like I know what I will work.
You
this
don't work
week.
the exact same thing every
Right.
day. Instead, you work like you'll
It's the
move
same
throughout the day.
schedule every week.
Yeah.
Well, it is the same thing every day technically. It's just,
Essentially, it's the same schedule every 2 weeks if you really think about it.
no. It's,
right?
It's
Except for the fact that you have a weekend on and a
well,
weekend
yeah, I
off.
was gonna say technically you are right because I'm off the Monday of the weekend I work, and then I'm off the Friday of the weekend that I work as well.
Yeah,
So it's like,
yeah.
but at least
So it's like you're scheduled for 2 weeks
Yeah.
almost.
And that's one of the things that I think is going to help my mental health out a lot, is just finding a different job with different hours.
Yeah, see, because what I'm getting at is that I think that
you can do what I do.
the real stance.
I was asking you about it earlier, dude. I'm not even joking.
It's really not that bad. A lot of people take it like, oh man, that must suck. I'm like,
No,
actually,
dude.
that I get off, everything's open by then.
Yeah.
I need appointments. I don't have to.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Is that like, and I know like it's all speak and no talk when it comes to stuff like this, but like I would be able to like reset my sleep schedule easy because I can actually do that.
It's not, well, if you're able to do it, you're able to do it.
It's
but
just it's
hard
everybody's
to
different,
go,
right?
Yeah, everyone's different.
And I
But
think-
it's like you saying like you
And it
don't
really
understand
depends
how I
on-
sleep for 6 hours every day, and that's
What?
essentially
No,
what I
that-
do.
That's what I've been doing.
yeah. See,
for-
I have to get like,
But before that-
before that, it wasn't 6 hours. There's days you get like 4, which
True.
I didn't understand that before because I was working, what was it, like 6 to 5?
If you went in 6, because you'd go in early a lot, but
Yeah.
you had to
But,
work 7 to 5.
Yeah, I'd have to get 7 hours of sleep. Now that I'm on this weird sleep schedule and a lot more has been going on in my life,
You kind of are
not
forced-
even a weird sleep schedule. It's just sometimes I have to delay sleep. There's been weeks where, like I told you, there was between 3 days, I got like maybe 9 hours between those 3 days.
Yeah.
Together. And, and now it's kind of where if I get 6, I average about 6.
Mhm. But you feel
7's my goal.
but as
I
long
feel
as you
just
get around
fine.
6, you're
yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some
still days I get
there's
around
days I'd rather.
5.
I think if I feel better when I get 7 than I do 8, because like something about 8 just feels like
You can get too much sleep. It just depends on what your body needs. But that's what's so different about everybody. Honestly, when I worked midnight shifts at the hospital, whenever I was doing it and doing those 12-hour shifts, I would get off, immediately go to sleep, and then wake up at like.
well, my work's
4.
also not
Essentially what you do.
near as physical now either.
well, see, that's what I
And
did. when I was-
I think that's a big difference. That's why I needed before. Like I'd sleep 8.5 hours every night because I was working my ass off for 11 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was working overnights, that's what I would do, is that I would get off at 7:30 in the morning. I would go home and I'd lay in bed till like 8:15, 8:30, and I'd fall asleep. And I'd wake up around 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And then I'd have from 3 or 4 all the way until.
Oh, and if I didn't have kids,
10.
that's about what I would do. But
Yeah.
I sleep in the evenings.
Right. See,
I'll go to bed about 4 to somewhere between 4 and 5 and wake up at 11.
So, but the coolest thing about that was that since I worked the 7 on overnight, I got 5 off. And so the way I tried to reset my sleep schedule was that on the last day, I was kind of excited because I was like 5 days off. This is going to be cool. And it's 7:30 in the morning. I'm already wide awake. I'm just not going to go to sleep. And I'm going to drink a Red Bull and I'm going to go to sleep at 10. And I
I'm
woke,
going to drink a Red Bull, rub one out, and I'm fucking good.
I woke
Yeah.
up at 4.
Well, see,
in the morning,
and the only thing that sucks
wide
about it is on the week,
Yeah.
and that's just because the shift in particular, the third shift that I work in particular, like if I had to go in earlier and got off a little different, it'd be. But like right now, I took a 2-hour nap at 10 o'clock, and I went to work last night at 12, and I'm up, and it's like what 8 something
I don't know what time it is.
in the evening.
8:16, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm had a 2-hour nap in 24 hours going on. Now.
Running on fumes right now.
I mean, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get used to it.
But you're right, though. I mean, in that sense, it is different for everybody because the hospital was really physical. I'm pushing people around all day. I'm essentially doing what you were doing when you were driving around, getting in and out of the car, and having to load tons of paper and
especially
stuff like
temperature change. I bet that took a real big toll on you too. It's not like when it's hot outside and you get into a cold car.
that. Mhm.
Oh no! And what's even worse, the not getting the air conditioner from being hot. What was even worse is when it was freezing and you'll dress in layers. So I couldn't even turn the heat on, because I don't like heat on in the van anyway because it gets stuffy. But I would get out, and so you start sweating a little bit, getting hot from because I'd stack paper on the dolly and all that. And I'd take it inside, and these little fucking old ladies would have the heaters. They'll do it in the summer too. So
Yeah.
they'll
Dude, in the office that we work in, they do it.
have these heaters next to them, and not just one heater for all 3 or 4 of them. Each one of them have a personal heater. And guess where they want that paper? Down there next to that fucking heater. And guess what? I'm wearing like 3 jackets and a parka, because it's like 15 degrees outside. So I sweat putting all that down there. It's burning up in their office. I go outside and it's freezing, and that sweat it makes you feel almost sick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
and
I
that's-
might be being. I mean, I sound like a giant pussy talking about it, but I mean,
No, dude,
it
like,
sucks.
that's
To
the
be
thing.
honest, I mean, that's
And I did
essentially-
it. I did it for 5 years.
That's stress. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a form of
Yeah.
stress.
But
it's just not
It
mental
got-
stress.
you
you
get
know?
the first couple of times when it gets cold, you're like, oh fuck. God,
But
you
I
know?
would
But then after a
totally-
while, it's like, yeah, it is what it is. It's kind of like when you're out there in the parking lot, it's 110. It's like, well, okay.
There's a great story that I want to tie in just because I'm curious because we never talked about it. I think you probably know what it is if I would start. Do you remember the story of the situation where you had to go to the back of the van and use a box for?
Oh yeah, no, we're not talking about that.
Oh, you had to shit in a box.
What?
Yeah.
Well, now the cat's out of the
Yeah.
bag. What I was
I mean,
curious
you made it obvious the way you
Yeah,
described
that's
it.
true.
That's his
Yeah.
fault, not mine.
It's true, but listen, what I was curious about, I can't remember. Was that in the dead of the summer?
What? Oh no.
Or was that in the winter or
To
spring?
put it in
or-
context, I had to go to a special place. It was way out. It was construction the whole way down.
Yep.
Anyway, there was woods. It wasn't like it was just side of the road.
Yeah.
And it just anyway. No.
I would've just
But
shit
how
the
hot
woods.
was it? Because
It wasn't hot.
The reason that even came to mind is when you're talking about situations like that.
The
Have you,
van's
ever,
air conditioned.
have you ever pooped when you're hot? And it's just terrible.
Dude, whatever it is,
It's
if I'm
terrible.
hot and I have to poop, I get stomach cramps.
Dude,
I feel sick.
your stomach's like, nah, bro, I wasn't made for this shit.
Yeah,
It's like the 100-degree porta potty.
dude. Man,
Oh my God,
y'all know exactly who this kid is because we went to school with him and he was in y'all's grade and he grew up with me and Seth in our neighborhood. But he wasn't one of our good buddies. He was like somebody we saw like we'd hang out with him if there's nobody else to hang out with. And I'll type his name.
You're
in
an
my-
asshole.
I'll type. No. He's just one of those weird guys like where it's just like.
I'm curious as to who this is now.
He would be like he was this way in high school too, where he's just too cool for everybody else, but everybody else is just no.
Okay.
We were good friends with him.
I thought you were. That's what I was making sure of.
No. This guy was so he was a dick, but he was trying to be a dick to be cool.
He
but
was dickish.
no, this dude, yeah.
No, fuck that, man. He
Fuck
was,
him. He was
he
an
was a
asshole.
dick.
But
Yeah.
he specifically would like try real hard to be a dick, and then but he would do it to
Oh.
be cool. And dude is
I did not know that he lived in y'all's neighborhood.
dude is a big cunt in
Big
real life.
A
But
bunt.
But like
Cake.
he had a birthday at the fairgrounds. Or no, I'm sorry, Spring Lake Park. And you know they have those big old pavilions that are opened up out there. Well, his mom made pizza really weird. But
How do you
Man,
make
that's
pizza
a
weird? Do
state-
you boil it, Saul?
No,
Do you boil the DiGiorno?
I'm telling you, dude, like his mom made pizza and it was handmade pizza. And the crust was normal. The sauce was, I'm pretty sure, just canned marinara sauce. The cheese was normal. The pepperonis was normal. There was an additional topping.
Did she shit on it?
There was an additional topping
This is
on
the way that you
this
said it. It's
pizza.
weird.
I want y'all to guess what this additional topping was.
Well, now you're making me go back towards shit. I
It
don't know.
doesn't. It's obviously edible, but you wouldn't put it on a pizza.
I mean, is shit edible? Dogs eat their own
No,
shit when
okay.
they're malnutrient.
it's something you would eat. You eat on a day-to-day basis every single
I
day.
eat it on a day-to-day basis, but it's
Guaranteed.
weird.
Yeah, it's in
On
food
pizza,
you eat.
it's
Yeah,
specifically weird.
Bologna.
no
Hot
You-
dogs.
hell?
what kind
I
of
don't-
diet do you
Who eats
have?
bologna
I don't eat
every day?
bologna at all, but
You know the
said what
kids who would
bread
eat
eats.
bologna with the fucking red shit still around it?
No.
I was telling that story the other night. It's sugar.
Who the fuck puts sugar on a pizza?
His mom.
And is it delicious? Is it like when you put sugar on cornbread and it completely changes that shit?
It actually wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty damn good. But I do mean it was pretty good. Like it was.
It was pretty good.
It was essentially just sweeter crust, is what it really tasted like. Because everything else tasted.
Did she only sweeten the crust? Like, was it sugar on the crust or was
No,
it
it was
sugar on the top?
everywhere, but it really popped on the crust for whatever reason. And like I remember,
could see
of
it
course,
working.
I was 12, so my palate. I probably like Chuck E. Cheese pizza or something. So but we had this.
I didn't have the palate of me now. My DiGiorno.
Hey, DiGiorno pan pizzas though. You gotta with everything frozen. You gotta spice it up. You gotta throw your own stuff on there to make it real good.
I've never done that, but I see the merit in it.
I'm telling
clearly.
you, my DiGiorno pizzas are really good. They also taste completely different because
I
DiGiorno.
put the oven on 425 instead of 430.
Yeah, really
and let-
fucking.
I actually take the pizza and I actually take olive oil and I brush the crust with olive oil and then
Do you sprinkle it with garlic?
and yes,
Yep.
and herbs and
And
Tony's
cheese.
and
Herbs. That's how you know we're from
and-
the South.
I actually cook it
Herbs.
5 minutes less than what the box says, but then I put it on the broiler
Hey, you want to?
so that the cheese gets all
wanna-
nice and melted.
Actually,
but it's still
you
white
wanna know
crust.
something
You
that'll
know
blow your
another way
mind?
you can do that?
You want?
Steam.
I think I was gonna say boil.
No, if you
Hey.
if you have it in the oven, just take a like open the oven up and then literally just take if you have it on your fingers or whatever
Just
you want
water
to
and
do, or
flick it.
even like a little thing to just kind of
Yeah,
that's what you do with burgers.
You wanna
You
know
put a
if-
cap on and you'll put a little sprinkle.
So you
of
remember those
water?
98
I don't like
cent
seeing burgers.
oven pizza? I don't know how much they are now, but I forget the brand. Might be Banquet.
Totino's?
No, the little 98-cent pizzas that were in the red box.
Yeah,
Totino's.
Totino's. They're party pieces.
Okay.
Yeah, the part.
Did you ever actually put those in the oven, or were you like me and
No,
just put them
I
in the
folded
microwave?
those.
And then taco?
Microwaved and then I tacoed them.
Yeah.
Yep.
In the
You know-
microwave, they're 20 times better than
Dude, they are.
are.
The crust, first of all, because if you put them in the pizza, that
It's an
crust
airy
gets
crust.
fucking
yeah,
hard.
And it's airy.
Yes, it does.
And
gaps.
but anyways, back to
Well, hold on
got
though.
thigh gaps.
Can we talk about the fact that I literally did that on my
that shit
own
was so
without
hard to
ever seeing another person do that?
And that
Well,
it was
how did that
so
come
hard
down
to
to?
get off the plate.
it was
Yes, it
trial
was.
and error too because
I think it's
it
just
didn't
because my
have-
parents weren't around to use the oven, so
I
I
was fucking poor,
Yeah,
and all we
I
had
just-
was a microwave.
yeah.
We were just
But the
alone
thing is,
during
even
the
as
day.
an adult, when I first started Leadwell, that's what I'd eat every day when I got home.
Fucking pizza taco, bro.
Dude, it's funny because like
Fold it up.
whenever I was working at my current job, but I was very first started, and me and Seth got that apartment, and I was like strapped for cash. I had to eat those a lot. But anyway, so
There
like,
a lot of food for $1.
dude, yeah. But anyway, so we're at Spring Lake Park, and his birthday's in August or September. All I know is it's hot as shit, and we have this pizza that we've been eating on. We have this cake that's been sitting out, and the cake is like melty and whatever it is. And then one of our other friends there, who I still actually know like IRL, I'm not gonna say his name, but
IRL.
IRL.
he had to go to the bathroom.
And
The only bathrooms around Spring Lake Park are, of course, the
ones that are
bathrooms.
locked.
They're
9/10
fucking
of the time.
terrible too.
Dude, they are disgustingly dirty. They have hot. And
at the fair.
no,
I had to
Spring Lake
take a
Park.
dump at the fair though.
Oh, yeah, that's not
Oh,
fun.
that's worse.
No.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, it's like
I
you're
just had
walking-
flashbacks. Like,
Yeah.
You gotta go alpha shit at the fair. Like you just gotta go in and you just gotta let everything loose, not caring in the world.
But then you can't get
you
your
gotta alpha
I know,
shit
and
and
then
go in.
But then when
beat
you're
your fucking chest.
when you were an emo kid and couldn't get your skinny jeans back up because you had sweated so damn.
oh, they're sticking to your thigh. You need
You're like-
baby powder.
But let me tell you, dude. Like
Friends when he puts the lotion in there.
my
The
friend,
lotion, it just made it cake up. Yeah.
my friend went in there and you could hear him like within 5 minutes gagging. He was like, that bathroom had to be like
Hey,
120
people are
degrees.
disgusting.
And it's just like you had to go to the bathroom, and he ran over there, so I'm assuming it's urgent.
Quality content
And
brought to you by
dick and shit best.
Dick and shit best.
Fiji water. Because salt's too good to drink.
He's turning the label toward the camera.
I
We
did
got a
that.
fucking sponsor, boy.
I got
What's up?
nonchalantly. Yes.
Oh, dude.
Fiji sponsor
Fiji,
us.
yeah. I'd love free Fiji water.
Does Fiji sponsor any podcast? We should be, if they don't, we should be the pioneers of
Oh,
people
yeah.
reaching out and be like,
This is what they'd want to sponsor.
Well,
Brett.
people
do you want us talking about people shitting on pizza to represent your water?
and people getting killed on motorcycles.
We've been going 1 hour and 10 minutes. This is a daily reminder that you should have drinking 4 ounces of water in this 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Hakuto, if you are listening, we want to throw in the thing. Everybody stay hydrated. That message is brought to you by Hakuto No Poet. Literally the only name I know him by. But
Ow. Ooh, that ain't good.
I wonder how bad that came through on the mic.
It probably came through. I think I knocked this loose off the table.
It's,
No,
Oh,
you're
no, it's
good.
still good. Okay.
Yeah, if anything, you could knock the table over with its squirmy ass legs that we got on it. We need to fix that. We'll get that fixed one of these days. I like this little wall banner. It's very nice. If you're not watching this on video, then you know it's a shame that you're not getting to see it. It's beautiful. So much work went into this setup.
maybe one day we can actually have a neon sign, though.
Wouldn't it be cool? It'd be even more interesting if you could find a way to tape the neons at the back of that and get them to shine through that still. I don't know how it'd work, but yeah. Hey, you know what? If anybody's got a lot of money, listens to this, and then wants to send us.
Already shilling
A
out.
neon sign.
Yeah, we do. Hey,
Fucking
you know what?
shill. That sounds racist.
Shill?
Yeah.
I mean,
I know, but like,
even then, you're not using it in the right sense, right?
I
In the
know.
shill, kind of the idea of like somebody who is selling a specific message with what they're talking about, but they have intents for something else to come from it. Isn't that kind of what it?
It
Do I
doesn't
look
have
like
to be
Webster?
first party.
do I look like my fucking name is Webster? Do I look like I was born in the 1890s? What kind of name is Webster? Have you ever heard anybody with that name around here?
Actually, yes.
You know those names that when you hear a kid with them, you're like, you're a kid though. Like you're not a fucking old
Saul.
90-year-old lady. I mean, Saul's not
Gloria.
nearly as bad. Like when you see a
Anne.
4-year-old named Edith, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Culture has moved on from that
Well,
name,
the
people.
thing is, it's like they're just called nicknames, right? They're just called nicknames until
A lot
they
of
get
times,
older.
yeah, a lot of times it's like what's more weird is when you go to school with people and then they have a name that's nowhere in their name. Have you ever had that happen? Where they're like, their name will be like Travis, Kensington, and then another name of whatever. And then he's like, oh, I go by Blake. And you're like, what the fuck? Where did Blake come from?
You know what I hate is that when people get older, they act like their name's spelled differently than what it is. Or like in school.
They act like it's spelled differently
There's
than what it
there's
is?
a girl we went to school with who insisted her name was spelled differently than what it is. And it's just like, no, I've known you since first grade. You're lying. Like, because she wanted her name to be special.
I
And she's a
mean,
really cool girl. Like, she's like, Annie knows her. You definitely know her. You know her.
yeah,
Everyone-
you said you definitely like you fucked her. You
No, no, no.
definitely
Yeah,
know
I
her.
know. I seen that look on you. You look
But-
like someone who fucked her.
But like, I'm telling you, like growing up, like going through like elementary school and then middle school and stuff with her. Then she in high school was like, no, my name's never spelled that way. I'm like, you're lying. I've like literally.
Well, see, but doesn't that come down to? I don't even know that I'm mad at when people do that because it's
Okay.
almost more so
Well,
that
it-
people
but-
feel the need
But okay,
to have
Saul,
that
but
attention.
Why do you go by Saul then?
because I've literally been going by it since like I was been born.
Well, didn't your mom call you that? Like the reason that you and Seth both go by y'all's names is that's what your parents called you.
Right, it was nicknames for our
Yeah,
my parents.
I mean, yeah, nobody called them.
I don't really know why. Like I do know that early on, like that people in third grade couldn't say my name properly, so then they went to Saul. Like I was just like, just call me Saul. It's what I get called at home and stuff.
I mean, just
And
Mike.
it's stuff.
See, that's what's more weird is when kids have problems saying the name. That is, I think, the most common reason that people go towards a nickname. Like Kyrie's already kind of a weird name, but a lot of kids will have the problem of calling her Shirey because it's kids who have. I mean, I had it too. You
No,
know,
it's
I
because
had-
she's shy and that's her nickname.
that's also true. She is shy.
Well, and
but my point is that that's already something that we're coming into. But I guarantee you, if I told that little kid who does that, I know a couple. If I said, "Hey, it's Elise," they probably wouldn't have a problem saying Elise.
Man, it might be because I'm tired, but the way you went in, if I told that little kid to shut the fuck up, that's not her name.
Well, what's worse is when adults do it. We go to the doctor and they're like, "Carrie," I'm like, "Do you not see the fucking
Well, to
I
be
right
fair,
beside the A?"
But to be fair, is it a normal name? Not really.
No, it's
And
not.
I'm not
but-
saying not saying anything against it, but
Well, what
I
it
would
is
if someone said Carrie, I'd be like, okay.
No, we do. I mean, but it is that thing where you start to look at
At least
it
they're
and
not
you're
like Kiari.
Well,
Kiara.
you know what's worse? You know those toys that you can program to say names? Kyrie's name was in one of them, right? And we were really surprised. We were like, "Holy shit, her name is in this little dog thing," and you can program it with your phone app to say the name whenever she does the stuff. So it'll talk to your kid. We were like, "That's cool." We go to put it on there, and we ended up having to change it because it would say K-Irie. And I'm like, "How the fuck do you take K-A-I and say K-Irie?"
Kiari.
I'm not gonna say their name on air, obviously, because it's gonna dox who they are. But like, we went to school with somebody whose name was literally atrocious, and I think you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I don't
it made
know.
papers.
I don't know.
The
but
first letter started with an L.
it
Goddamn, you might as well be speaking in
Hold on.
riddles.
I love the way you said it. Like their name was so atrocious that their name made papers. Like caution, somebody named fucking Leatrice is named here. Oh Lord, I've always thought that was like a myth.
That's not a myth, dude. She went to school with this. She was in a grade.
The first time, okay, but give me a second. The first time I ever heard that story, they went to Texas High, so that's why I start to think that that's not true.
The problem with that is that was just kids not realizing that she was a grade above me.
Do you remember that there's stories about all these things, and I think it's just
I met
people
her.
trying to make. I'm not saying you didn't. It's fine. But if you ever hear the rumor about the twins named Orange Jello and Lemon Jello, but it was Orangelo and Lamangelo?
Was that a local thing?
Yeah, I've heard it in a number of places, but then I've heard people who say it in completely different areas. So it's either now I didn't hear them say that they heard it because that it was from somewhere down here. It could have spread that far, but these are things that have been going on before internet was the way it is
I
now.
think a lot of it's like the S, right? Like nobody knows where it came from, like the true origin. Nobody knows how every kid universally knew where that came from.
What are you talking
Or like the S. The 6 lines.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what it's really called.
It's like a culture thing that happens somewhere.
Yeah,
I always
dude,
call it the
it's-
Superman S. But a lot of people would use it for that.
Dude, it's just like it's one of those things. It's like how did that get so widespread, right?
Dude, it's like what's more weird is almost because technically we're millennials. So every millennial kid, somebody who's
for
around
yourself.
our name, somebody who's around our age though, it's what I was talking about with the pizza taco. Everybody I've ever asked about that, they go, "Yeah, dude, you microwave it and then you have to peel it up from the plate because it's stuck, and then you just fold it up and eat it like a taco." I'm like, how did every kid naturally go to this conclusion?
Especially because there's no microwavable instructions on the box.
You're not even literally supposed to microwave it. So it's just a bunch of poor kids who were left alone during the summer with nothing but frozen pizzas in their thing, and they go,
Wasn't it
"I
like
guess
four?
I'll
It
figure
was
this
something
out."
kind of long though. Wasn't it like 4 minutes and 30 seconds? It was a long time.
It did not have
No, I'm saying
microwave
what you actually
instructions.
had to put it on for.
Oh yeah, I'd put it in there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was something long.
And
Because
it would literally be lava, and you'd be like trying to fold it up and peel it off the plate.
whenever I was in summer school between 2008 and 2009, with Jesse Buchanan, me and Jesse, I lived with Jesse that entire summer, and we basically like his mom would go to work, his dad would go to work, and we would go to summer school. Well, summer school let out at 11. Like we were there from I think it was 9 to 11 on some days and 8 to 11.
You
Or
had
no,
to go
8
to summer
10.
school. I never went, so
I had to go
didn't
to
know how
summer
it goes.
school for English because and what really made me angry was that my English teacher at the time, I've talked about her before to you guys. You know who she is. She was a freshman English teacher, and then she was a junior English AP teacher. And the literally the last part of her project that she had us do, that was worth 70% of our grade. I hate it when teachers say that. Was to write an essay on who we are and who we aspire to be, like an autobiography of ourselves up to that moment, right? And it
Isn't
had
that fucking weird? Writing about yourself.
It had to be no less.
I don't even know who I am.
No less than 10 pages. Well, the thing is that like I literally wrote out like I remember it
I'm the guy who likes these funny T-shirts. That's my identifier.
I wrote it out very vividly, right? Like I would use, I think there was 11 chapters total, and I would use them as chapters of my life and what I did in those chapters of my life, and what at the end of those chapters, I basically made it as a point to like, this is what made me like this so much, and this is who I became because of this. And each chapter was a standalone like little story about why I like something.
And then you do the last chapter, which is the story that you hope happened in your life. Like, I hope I'm in Vegas. Strippers are fucking going down poles. I'm throwing millions at them. The moral of this story is what I've done so far has made me this. But what I plan to do is going to make me this.
It wasn't that.
Well, what I'm getting at is that it sounds like the point of, I'm almost wondering if you're going to get to the point of she failed you because it wasn't enough to the point that she was trying to make.
No. She failed me, and this is what really made me angry. Me and Casey had that class, and we had it both freshman year, and we both had her junior year.
Yeah.
Sophomore year. And sophomore to junior is when I had summer school. But what really irritated me
summer school
is... Do you go?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's not uncommon. It's sometimes dude is completely...
I'm not even saying it's uncommon. It just surprised me because I guess what it really surprised me by is that both of you... I know that both of you had pretty good grades.
I ended up in summer school. I took... And during my sophomore year,
I don't want to steer too far away from what you were talking about, by the way.
Instead of taking an elective, my mom thought it'd be. I took pre-AP biology and pre-AP chemistry in the same year in my sophomore year.
Oh, lovely.
Did you have petty for pre-AP chemistry?
Yeah. And
were you in my chemistry
I didn't
class?
pass because I was in there with Matt and Gaines.
Yeah, you were in my chemistry class.
Yeah, I was a sophomore taking a junior class.
Yeah, dude, how did I not remember that? Because I remember there was you and who else was it? Wasn't Diego in there too? And he was in your grade?
No.
You're sure?
I'm sure.
I remember there being like there being younger people.
I sat in front of Jeanette, and then Matt sat to the right of me.
And I sat in the back next to, I don't want to say full names, but
this is
Justin.
riveting.
But
anyway, no, I failed it because just my math wasn't. I wasn't in a high enough because of transferring schools. I took Algebra 1 3 times.
Yeah.
And in some reason I took in 8th grade, but some reason because you didn't take whatever the bullshit tests were, I had to retake it. And I had it with Hickey, and I mean I made 104 in that class, but they made me still take it on pre-AP.
Similar issue. And whenever I was in class,
essentially I failed chemistry because my math skills.
Chemistry requires a lot of math.
A lot of math. I wasn't, because they were like, "Oh, you should be learning this in what the fuck ever." I'm like, "Well, I'm not taking that. I'm taking algebra." Whoa, and then it was too much for a sophomore.
Well, I also think that I think sometimes parents think their kids are even smarter than they are, and they're like, "No, you can run 2 pre-AP classes in the same year, no problem."
Well, I mean, it was because it was 2 sciences. I did all pre-AP up until my senior year, and I took regular English, and that's when I got stuck with Van Hoos. I didn't realize how
Van Hoos was great though.
Yeah, but no, that's how I didn't realize how horrible normal classes
non-AP classes are. Yeah, they're terrible.
No, I took all AP. Like I took pre-AP and AP, which AP was a waste of fucking time because you don't get your college credits. They lie to you.
No, they flat out do not give you those college credits.
I don't know. Because when we went to take the test, it was funny. I took AP Anatomy, right? I was a junior, and me and Tyler Watley were in there, and then the rest were like we were juniors, and the rest were seniors. There was only 8 people in that class, so the other 6 were the top 6 of their class. So you go take the AP test in the year, right? I go in there, and I'm just like, oh man, fucking test. It's like because it's right before you get out for the summer, and we start taking it, and it's asking me some questions. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I'm gonna skip that one. Maybe that's a fluke. Second one was because it's like if this parent donkey had this and this had this and shit, we never learned. And then the next one was like, well, if the X genome mixed with the, I just started like, I looked around and there was one girl in tears.
Yeah, dude.
I'm not even fucking like because she was
Arkansas
like number 2 in her class. She was in
ridiculous.
Tears. And then the other, I wish I remember these. I'll talk to you about it later because I don't want to give everybody's names. But this other dude was looking like he was about to pull his hair out, and I just started like, so I started writing to fucking. I didn't care. I was like, I'm gonna finish this, turn in, fuck it, because no one.
See,
no one got it.
Did anybody have their go-to test thing when they didn't know an answer of how to bullshit your way through it?
No, that's.
Hey, I bullshitted through. I took the ACT one time after 2 hours of sleep. Bullshitted it and got a 26.
Dude, it's so amazing. I got a 24. Forgot that we were doing
got the same score.
Yeah, like I didn't even there was a lot of stuff. If I didn't know it, fuck it, moving. I go back and
I got a 32. technically.
I am a horrible
Dude, y'all are
student.
gonna laugh your asses off at the way that mine is.
I
and
thought you were gonna say like a 12.
It's because of culture. No, I got a 24, but it was a very similar situation. I forgot that what they had done is because a lot of kids in the area couldn't afford to take the ACT and did it outside of school.
They did it.
They did that free one.
They
at
did
school.
it
That's what
during
I
the
did.
day. Yeah,
right,
and
in the cafeteria.
no, mine was in the classroom.
Yeah, it was in the classrooms in that new building.
Well, that's unusual. Mine was.
Well,
in the
you were a
cafeteria.
grade above him, and he was a grade above
Yeah,
me.
2 years
so,
of grade.
No, I wasn't going to do it until the counselor was like, well, you pretty much have to even. I'm like, oh, I'm going to this community college. I don't have high hopes for myself.
Well, the
I don't
crazy
need it.
thing is that you
And- well,
got
and then-
like
and
above
then-
a 25. You got right
No,
scar.
no. When I
Star.
talked to the counselor at the college, she's like, "Why are you going here?" And she's like, you made your 26 on it." I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You got decent grades?" Like, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, why are you going?" I was like, "Yeah, I can't afford to go anywhere else. I'm just gonna be real with you." Well, you could have got scholarships. Yeah, but no one showed me how to do that.
well, I didn't want to go to college. Well,
I knew I
that's
didn't
a whole other
want
story.
to. Yeah,
but,
anyway.
but similar situation of your ACT thing, and then I'll let you get back to yours.
Yeah, we're
sorry, we're way
real
away
far.
from yours. But yeah, I had a similar thing where I had completely forgotten. It was a Monday. Went through the whole weekend, completely forgotten. Slept like absolute
Oh, yeah,
dog
no.
shit the night before. Didn't eat breakfast. Get to work. Get to school, and they're like,
Some
"Are you
game had just came out.
Are
and I
you
was-
ready?" Yeah, they're like, "Are you ready to do your ACT?" And I was like, "Oh shit!" And they were like, "Yeah, hope you had a good breakfast. You know, you need to eat before you do this.
All
You can
that
think." And I was like,
bullshit.
No,
"No,
I usually eat the free breakfast.
I was like, I didn't eat. I slept 2 hours or somewhere around.
Yeah.
It was bad, and I was like,
That's how mine was.
dude, I was trying to fall asleep. So here's my go-to thing, and I'm surprised I got a 24. Answers that I knew, I'd just go for. But anything that I didn't know, I would look at what I'd answered so far, and then my brain would go, if you were playing Guitar Hero, and there was going to be a series of notes in a solo, what would look like a fun solo right there?
I literally
I
went
would
with-
just fill it
That's
in.
horrible.
I literally looked
And
at
it
it
worked.
and went with gut instinct every time. If I
Yeah.
didn't know.
No, yeah, but that's what I was telling my sister when she went to take it. I was like, look, everyone gets caught up on these questions, and I'm like, in the reading, read the questions before you read the passage.
Mhm.
You know, simple stuff like that. I was a good test taker. I was a horrible student. I didn't like to go to school.
And that the bigger problem too is that the tests actually give you more incentive to learn how to bullshit them than they do to actually learn.
Yeah.
It's like if you just can learn how to be a good test taker, you can be dumb as hell and just
Yeah.
get to the test. And it's like, but that's why tests are such a weird thing, and so many people are noticing
Well,
that.
and that's why people who get straight A's, valedictorians, still get like 18s on the ACT.
Mhm.
I know
Yeah.
people like that, and
A lot of people.
Well, I mean, there's different kinds of intelligence, and
Well, even then, I think those people, a lot of people who do really good and are like that because they have time, the stress that a test puts on you because of the pressure and the timed aspect, and it's like everybody's quiet, and it's so different that I think a lot of people end up doing worse than they really would. Not because they didn't know it, but because there was so much weird stress, and it's like, when you're so stressed sometimes that you start to forget how to do basic things, and you like, I need to calm down, and then sometimes that doesn't happen, and you get into this weird feedback loop of getting more and more stressed, and by the time it's done, like you're talking about, there's kids who are crying and being I'm not going to get done, and you got to think about it. These are kids who probably think that they're going somewhere with their life, and now this test that they're starting to fuck up on, and they're forgetting how to do basic things, and they start going, if I fuck up with this, I don't go to college, I don't get to do this job, and then it just becomes a feedback loop of that shit until they get to the point where they're like, I can't even finish the test. One of the smartest people I know literally went through and did not finish the test because they were like, I just got in my head, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to do.
tests never stressed me out. I could never do homework. I was working.
Yeah, but did you
I
really
worked a shitload during
like
high
you just
school.
talked about? What
Yeah,
did you
you
really
man.
think your prospects were? Did you really, just like me? I was like, I'm not going to go to college. I can't afford it. There's even if I could,
I don't have. My parents won't help me.
I actually got a full ride scholarship
parents didn't
somewhere and
give me
didn't take it. But that's a different
Well, I
story.
mean, and like even when I went to college in town, my parents didn't just give me a place to stay. That's a
Exactly.
whole story. But
Yeah, exactly.
so it's
But Saul, going back to your story about the paper, why did you fail and why did you have to go to summer school because of it?
So I wrote that. I think it ended up being 12 pages long by the end of everything.
That's good. You were
And
over the minimum, right?
I was way over the minimum. And I remember what we had to have. It had to be in a folder with prongs, and the prongs had to be what held the paper together.
That shit's weird.
Dude, I'm telling you, if I told you the name of the teacher, you
Oh,
would
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, you'd
I'm
be like,
fairly
that
positive.
makes 100%
start with
sense.
an S.
No, starts with a T. Yeah, Brent
Yep,
knows exactly
I
what
know
I'm
you're
talking
talking
about.
about.
But so I remember I did not have one of those folders that had prongs because we're in high school, not elementary school. So I had to go to Walmart and I got a blue folder. Me and Casey went. I got a blue folder. He got a red folder. And I literally put my paper in there, put the prongs out, folded it over, wrote my name on the front. It already had a front basically cover letter
Mhm, mhm.
when it was typed out. And then the next day, we get in her class, and she had the two baskets on her desk to turn in and then pick up. Me and Casey both. I went and set mine in. Casey went in and set his in. And then I get called into her classroom as I'm walking down the hallway during the last week of sophomore high school. She's like, I need to talk to you. You need to turn in your end of the year project, your autobiography. And I was like, I was the first one to turn it in. She's like, no, you weren't. I didn't get yours. I said, did you get Casey Carr's? And she said, yes. And I said, you got mine because mine was under his. I was like, so you couldn't have picked up his and not had mine. And she said, I didn't get yours. Let me get yours. And I said, it's on my computer. I'm going to go home and reprint it out. It's like, okay. And I went home that night and I printed it out, took it back up to her and handed it in. Substitute teacher.
Oh.
And then and this was a Friday, or maybe it was a Thursday, but I'm pretty sure it was a Friday. And so I couldn't turn it in.
You are talking about Dog Lady, right?
Yes.
Okay, just being sure.
And substitute teacher. So I was like, I told the substitute, I'm like, hey, I need you to put this in a very specific spot, somewhere that Miss Turner, well, whatever. Yeah, somewhere she will find this. And
you knew her, but I don't know that you've ever had her.
Yeah. And the substitute teacher, what's his name? Kindly, whatever his name. He's really, really cool Asian guy. Really, really short, but he was one of the ones that like, you guys are here.
He was almost too cool.
He almost was like, you guys are here. Y'all know what to do. I'll see if y'all have a question, raise your hand. And he'd sit back and be on his computer all day.
You know what's crazy is the teachers who are like that. You remember? Yeah. Did you ever have Miss Young?
No.
Speech class. She was the one.
Yes.
Not speech, but public speaking.
Or North Heights.
Maybe she was at Arkansas High the time that I moved it.
She was oral communications and home ec.
Oral comms. That's what it was. That one, dude. She was like that just as a teacher.
Yeah, she was super cool, dude.
But she was almost too cool to the point where I want you to finish your story, but I want to come back to that because there's one person that I know that's like, how the hell did he get through all this shit in school without any issue? But go ahead and finish your story.
But anyway, so like I handed it to the substitute teacher. And I told him, and then I actually had another copy in my backpack. And I walked across the hall at Miss Turner in the freshman. I don't even care if I said her name. In the freshman building she doesn't teach anymore. She's retired.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
But
I just said Miss Young's name, no problem.
Right.
There's not a first name attached to that. So.
But so across the hall from Miss Young is Miss Patsy, and Miss Patsy. I don't know if y'all met her, but she retired while I was in high school, and I guess at this point she probably would have retired with y'all first year. And I told her, I'm like, hey, I have this autobiography. It's 10 pages. At this point, it was stapled together because I didn't have another folder. And I said, this is for Miss Turner. Can you please give this to her? And I said, there's a sub in there now. And I said, I only have until like 3 more days until I can turn it in because this is one of those weird years where the last day was in the middle of the week for school.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay. I was like, I handed it to the sub, but if he doesn't give it to her or loses it or whatever, and she doesn't find it, here's this one. She's like, okay. So come back Monday, ask Miss Turner, like, hey, you got my report, right? She said, nope. I said, oh, okay. So the sub didn't give it to you. She said, nope. I said, 1 second. And I went and got it from Miss Patsy and I was like, here you go. Now you have it. She's like, can't take this. This isn't in a pronged folder. I said, I don't have a pronged folder. She's like, well, today's your last day to turn this in. You got to bring it back with a pronged folder. I was like, how am I supposed to go to Walmart and get a pronged folder? I'm in school. And she's like, you better find somebody with a pronged folder. Nobody in high school had prong folders.
Well, who normally used
that? I went to every teacher on freshman hall and I was like please tell me you have a prong folder. Please tell me you have a prong folder. And none of them had prong folders that they could give me because there was already their material and stuff in it. And they're like, if we give you this, they're like, this has other people's names and stuff on it. You can't just turn this in.
Yeah.
And of course, Miss Turner was doing this because Miss Turner hated me and Casey. So of course, she flunked me for that. I was at a 98. For her class.
Holy shit, guys! I just found a fucking wedding ring.
I was slipping it off so Saul wouldn't see it on me.
No, you're trying to put it on your cock down there. Just
This 70% quote unquote brought me from
my wedding ring doubles as a cock ring.
Brought me from a 98 overall score in her class
to a 50.
47.
Oh, wow, that's pretty close.
And I failed, so I had to retake it to get that credit. But
that's
while
lovely.
you tell the story,
I'm
gonna go pee.
That's the reason why high school is a bunch of bullshit.
Well, since you have to go pee in another room because of your weird thing, you want to grab me a bottle of water on the way back in?
What is this?
It's
a laptop charger.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know why you have the laptop. You can fact check. I mean, like, actually, Blaze, the speed limit is 50.
It's 40, but there's a subject partition to go into.
But you see the flux capacitor at this point, then makes it no. Do you remember Blake? And I'm not going to go more than that. Bigger guy, buff. You know what I'm talking about. Asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, asshole in the weirdest way, right? It's like I didn't even really dislike him, but he was generally he would have.
He was a bully.
He had no care for anyone else, and what they he wouldn't care what they felt in the situation. We had him in Miss Young's class, and what I was getting at with her is like, it's crazy to me, and I think it says a lot about the teaching structure in a lot of places that this even could happen, or maybe even how useless the class really was.
Well, most of high school is useless.
Yeah, a lot.
And you got to think a lot of these people are making less than what I am now,
and that's what I mean,
and
right?
It's a basic degree, and I'm
So
not trying to
what
demean
incentive do
teachers.
you
It's
have?
just I mean, and a lot of these kids are fucking assholes.
Well, it's like people like we talked about Van Hoos, right? Van Hoos was actually a great teacher.
Yeah,
but
he
the
was a
problem
very
is he was a
educated
great
man.
teacher who was doing work below his level. If you're really going to talk about it, he was someone who was very educated and loved English
I'm
and
sure he was
tried to
pissed 'cause he
portray that
couldn't get
across
the
other
AP
people.
He didn't get the pre-AP classes because I'm sure there was a lot of politics.
Stupid tenure and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's all sorts of politics in that shit.
But yeah, you end up with somebody who's teaching, who should be teaching at a college level, realistically, and he's dealing with students who don't care.
Beowulf to students who don't care, who
At all.
like to disrupt. Yeah,
Exactly. So, and he sometimes overreacted in ways I don't agree with, but I understand why he did it. But when you think about teachers like him who are in that situation, but then you have teachers like Miss Young who are just defeated, and it's like I remember I would play my PSP on my desk in her classroom, me and Jonathan both, no problem, and it was just like, you let Podcast Cat in. Well, here we are.
What I used to hate about high school is getting in trouble
Thanks,
for
man.
reading in class. I would get in trouble for reading. Oh, you have homework. Well, fuck it. That name is kind of suggestive that I can do it somewhere besides right now, huh?
That's true.
And I would get in trouble for reading. I'd be like, no, it's for AR. We don't have AR.
It's
Well,
Abbers.
fuck.
But what's funny about that? What I was talking about with Miss Young though is like you could tell she was defeated because she would just let like fucking anything go by. So Blake we were supposed to do.
Is Blake's last name end with a B?
Yep.
Oh, I know exactly
You know who
who
you're
you're
talking
about.
So he was in that class, and I remember this is he had two separate situations where it was one of the craziest things I had ever seen a teacher completely let go by. Besides one time,
I wouldn't be able to, man. I'd be like,
well, one time she actually specifically said, "All right, Blake, that's enough," and he got down. But she never wrote him up for anything, and he pushed it so far. His goal in that class was, this teacher doesn't give a shit. How far can I push it and say whatever I want to before I get to the point?
Okay, no, he probably had his little speech and just had some words in it or something, right?
Oh, it was the subject matter of the speech, what the speech actually even said. But
what can they do?
Yeah,
that's the sad part.
Well, she could have tried. But she was
Can you
defeated.
imagine going back to high school with your mentality you have now, and how you would talk to people now with the mentality you have? Dude, I wouldn't.
Well, honestly,
but a lot of those kids don't know. They don't know any better, man. You got to really think.
Well, then you have people like Blake, who was an athlete, and people
yeah.
wanted to treat him differently because he's an athlete, and coaches give him this whole, he's important to us spiel. It's like, we need to make sure he
most
can't
of our
get in
budget
trouble.
comes from that.
He used to mess with me a lot when we were in North Heights when we all played Yu-Gi-Oh. He stole my Dark Magician of Chaos and hit it in his shoe and completely bent it. So throughout, he was just one of those people though that I was like.
One day, me and Seth were walking from lunch, and he just threw a stick at me.
Dude,
Because
well,
he was upset because I was hanging out with some of the people, because I jumped between people to hang out. I hung out with soccer guys, and one day I was talking to the band, or some of the band people he was talking to, and then I was talking to some of the football guys. And I guess something about it, because he had said something like, "Why the hell are you sitting over here?" And everyone was kind of looking at him like, "What the fuck?" Anyway, then we were walking off, dude. He threw a fucking stick at me and Seth, and looking back now. And
Seth hung out with him. That's what's more weird.
He quit.
Why would he even?
But he quit messing with me after one time because
I remember
the Coke machine thing.
I
I'm not even
remember.
gonna.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Is he quit messing with me one time? And I don't remember why, but I was in a really, really bad mood, and it had to have been either my senior year of high school or my junior year because between the new building and then the old, they built that awning that walked all the way the span of the sidewalk, and he said something to me, and I shoved him really hard. And he just looked at me and was like,
you want to get fucking more of this, bitch?
No, he said something to me, and I turned around and I just.
But that's how high school goes.
And I pushed him, and then he just kind of he looked at me. He's like, man,
no one ever responds to me.
Yeah. He's like, I'm sorry, dude. He's like, I didn't mean to make you mad. And he's like, I'm sorry. He's like,
what?
You
You
good?
think you're just fucking?
Well, see, that's what I was telling. That's what I was talking to Blaze about a second ago. Was that he was an asshole, but it was funny. He really was kind of a bully, but it was more like
he's a bully because nobody likes him.
It was almost. It wasn't even
was-
that as much as it was almost like nobody ever
Accepted him.
nobody ever responded to him in a way like you just did.
Yeah.
So he thought it was acceptable.
And then
it
when he
was
get
like,
caught-
oh, well, that's just my style of humor.
Then
And
he
I
got
get
caught
to an
out on it. He
extent.
should have. It's
Yeah.
like he's just.
But he was a big guy. Is the other thing. What was weird?
He's not that big. That's the
Well,
problem.
but he's bigger than a lot of people. If you really think
Back
about it.
then, though, he wasn't. He was. I was at that point. I was taller than he was, and like he might have been bigger.
And I think
but-
he never messed with me, and I always wondered it was because I was taller than him or what. Like, what about me did he not? He'd mess with Seth. He wouldn't mess with me.
He always had that like he had.
But him
that
and Seth
thing,
were also friends.
like where he stole my Dark Magician. I was like, I only like let certain people like see my cards.
Yeah.
Like I don't hand over my
No,
cards.
bringing
for
Yu-Gi-Oh cards to
anyone.
school is a rite of passage of learning what the
Yeah.
fuck about the real world.
But I let him have I let him look through my cards, and I like looked away, and then all of a sudden my Dark Magician Akasa is gone.
Yeah.
And then so like I talked to another dude. His name was DeMarcus, and he was a real tall dude. I've known him all my life. And I was like, hey dude, can you go talk to Blake? I'm pretty sure he just stole my cards. And dude walked over there and was like, you need to give Saul a card back right now. Blake was like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't have anything. And he's like, if you don't give Saul your card back, I'm gonna throw you in that dumpster right over there. Pointing the dumpster behind the band hall at North Lights. He's like, hey man, just calm down. He's like, hold on. And he took his shoe off, and he had my card in his shoe, like where his foot
And I'm sure in
went.
his mind, right, it's the whole thing of like a lot of kids do this where you're really trying to do one thing, but if you get caught out and caught, it's like, oh, it was just a joke. I was just messing with him.
Here's the thing: is that like I gave him back to him because I kind of felt bad, honestly. But like, DeMarcus took my card. He said, "Saul, come here." And he handed me my card back. DeMarcus put his hand on Blake's shoulder and was like, "Let me see your cards real quick." And Blake took out his deck of cards, and I don't know if you know the DeMarcus I'm talking about. This dude was big and tall.
Oh yeah.
This
I'm
dude's
not sure
scary.
if I do or not. I'd
But
have to see
he like
my
literally
face,
took
probably.
his deck box and was like, Saul. And he just tossed me his deck box. He's like, there you go. He's like, if this guy ever gives you any trouble, you come back and let me know. Dude just handed me all his cards. And at this point, Blake started tearing up. And I was just like, I feel bad for this dude. Like, I
So,
just wanted
Blake,
my card
it
back.
was funny.
So
Blake
I
would
just
have
tossed the
certain
deck box
moments
back to him. And I
where he
was just
became
like,
human. Like you'd be like, oh look, he actually cares.
yeah. And I think that it just was that he didn't get the attention as he wanted. And
Yeah.
that he was just
When
the
you
big
know
bad.
it, you know how his parents were, you'd actually understand it. But going back into it,
Yeah.
the point of this was how bad some teachers can be and just not giving a shit. Blake's he had two that stood out to me. Things, right?
What's weird is how
There were two speeches.
he's in your classes, but he's in my grade.
Yeah. Well, oral comm you just had
I
to
guess
have.
that's an elective. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you just had to have
yeah.
before your 4 years were up.
Right.
So anyway, he's in that class. We'd play our PSPs out. I think he knew that Miss Young didn't give a damn. So what he would do is like one of them was someone who was influential in your life. So of course I wrote one about my grandpa. I was like, all right, I love my grandpa. He's probably the most influential person I've ever had in my life. So I did that. Of course, what does Blake do? It's about his sister, which doesn't sound bad initially, right? Until you go into the story of why it is and what the reasoning was. And it was because his story was because he had a hot girlfriend. His parents were out of town and his sister was the only person there. And I'm telling you, he used all of this language too. Maybe not in this exact order, but it was essentially to the point of, my sister walked in while the girl was going down on me and sucking my, he said sucking my thing. And you just see Miss Young like still looking down, just like, whatever. And then he keeps going and he goes through all this thing, goes, and then of course he goes, my sister goes, instead, I was worried she was going to tell my parents, but instead she looks at me and goes, get done real quick, don't leave a mess, and I won't say anything, and left. And then he had this whole story. So it goes, then I start, I whip out the condom, and I was like, how fucking far is this kid going to go?
That's cringy.
And he kept going. He's like, started rolling it on, and I told her, you're about to get the monster. And he wrote it. It wasn't even like that he believed it, right? It was, again, the sole purpose of how he wrote the paper was, how far can I go before Miss Young says stop
Right.
it? And dude,
He's just a tryhard.
he literally got to the point where he was about to start describing putting his dick in her before Miss Young said, Blake, that's enough, sit down.
Yeah, dude. He's one of those people that like I feel bad for him because he legitimately was just trying too hard for
Well,
people
I
to
mean,
like him.
But then he had
But
other
here's the
times
thing,
where he
this
actually
was-
had a funny
What,
thing.
this has been almost 10 years though, so
Yeah, that's true as
he
well.
can be.
I'm sure
he can be
I'm
that-
sure he's
yeah,
perfectly
yeah.
fine now. He was actually almost perfectly fine when he worked at GameStop.
Yeah, actually.
Dude, he like I think he just
He
I
I
normalized
mean, like
a
the
lot.
thing
Yeah.
is, you think about high school and you think, oh, those your children, and
Right.
that's the horrible part about high school. You get treated like children, then you go from having to raise your hand and take a piss to all of a sudden you're paying taxes
immediately.
and you don't
Yeah,
ever
can go to
learn
jail
anything about
and-
those
yeah.
taxes and how to write a check or anything like
Or
that.
You know
go
how
to
weird
jail
it is in college to be able to be like, oh, I pay for this. I can get up and just go take a piss.
Oh yeah, no, I
If
never.
I
I
wanted
never raised
I
to.
my
can get up
hand.
and not come back.
Yeah.
There goes my money, but
But I guess that's the difference. But the other story he told, and it's just to kind of balance it out, because that story was just cringy, but he had another one that was still, again, the whole goal was how far can I push this? And you were supposed to give an idea about something you wanted to do. And of course, his was a business or something that was called Boats and Hose, or maybe it was an event or something. And of course, it was around the time the Step Brothers come out. So he's like, it would be Boats and Hose, and he goes, we'd be strictly BYOC, bring your own condoms. And it was just like, God, how far can you go? And it's more funny that this is 10 years later, and regardless of even if it's truly funny, it stuck with me because of how absurd it was in the setting that we were in. But that's just the way school went at that point with that particular teacher. And it's like I was saying to him when you weren't in there, it's like Van Hoos. We had one teacher
I know who that is.
Yeah, but we had one teacher who was way overqualified for what he was doing, and the kids just shit on him, even though he was trying to be a good teacher. Then you have somebody like Miss Young who's just like, what the fuck ever.
Not paid enough, dude.
Nope.
It's a massive problem.
Yeah, and that's what we're getting into is like you can see the difference between the amount of teachers. And I've always thought it was weird that you can really see when a teacher cares and they really try. And even then, sometimes teachers just get shit on, like Van Hoos, right? And the worst thing I ever saw is because, of course, in my 9th grade year, you come into high school, you are a shithead. I mean, it's just who you are. You're a kid. You don't know enough about the world. You don't know how to respect
You're also
people
trying
exactly.
to be cool around all the older kids.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just kept to myself, man.
Well, but I had friends, and you were new coming into the high school too, right?
What? No,
Or were you new at North Heights?
I was new at North Heights.
Okay.
I stayed.
You were really, if you're even being honest, you've come out of your shell a lot throughout the school year.
I don't know
throughout from when I first met you to keep going.
Yeah.
I don't know. He kept dressing up as Sasuke coming to school.
That was for Nerd Day.
That was.
What's weird is that's why I remember you like that every day.
But dude,
That
also
was for Nerd Day.
That's how one
you're
day
like
can
a
have an
weird,
impact on
like
someone.
you talked about with your friend groups, right? You're like a weird chameleon. You had that going on in high school. I remember when I met you, and it's like you have Blaze coming to school as Sasuke one day, right, for Nerd Day. It's like, okay. Then you have Blaze playing in a band in the talent show with his fucking ringlet fro, playing Rockin' in the Free World.
Yep.
And it's just the group, and then you had him coming hanging out with us as like crazy metalheads, and then you had him hanging out with.
I'm mostly dressed as a metalhead though.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'd say your most common state was emo/metalhead. The trivium stage of metalhead, right?
I just talked to
early
everybody,
trivium,
because I still did sports and stuff.
Yeah. I know that's, but even then, I was going somewhere with something before that. But yeah, I mean,
I just kept to myself outside of that.
I know it was in
the
9th grade
thing.
So of course I had me, Seth, Jonathan, Donovan,
Tyler.
Bo, Tyler McCusker, all in the same class with Mr. Van Hoos. So while I actually did respect Mr. Van Hoos and I was smart and I answered the stuff, I did good and he liked me. But every now and then I'd push the fucking
Who is the
button.
teacher at North Heights that was the
And I felt bad
science
for that.
teacher that was way too overqualified for being there? That dude should have
I don't
been. He was Shipley.
Oh yeah,
Dude, that dude should be a college professor.
yeah. And same with Van Hoos. You can just tell by the way he taught. It was
Yeah.
like
Coleman.
the way he taught was college level. And
Yeah.
if the kids would have paid attention, they would have gotten essentially a college level education
Well,
for
dude,
free.
Coleman himself was like when mom died, he
Mm-hmm.
like literally came up to me like I think I was gone 2 weeks, maybe one, and then he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, dude," he's like, "I know what just happened." He's like, "Don't worry about anything for the rest of the year." He's like, "If you feel like doing work, you can do work." He's like, "If you don't worry about it," because this is in April, so
Yeah.
I only had 2 months left. But he's like, he's just like, if you want to read,
He knew what kind of student you were at that
Yeah.
point too. It's like I know that
well,
you
he
were
was an
worthy.
English teacher, and
Yeah.
English had always been one of my better subjects, like obviously. And
Obviously.
I'm just saying, if you're
With a name like Solomon,
if
have
you
to
live here, you don't, and like you fail English class, it's just like it's one of us, like
Is that an elitist tone I hear?
It sounds like you're gatekeeping.
No, I'm not gatekeeping.
Is
I'm
that
just
a
saying,
dog
like,
whistle?
Like if you're like anybody that we know that is in our group or whatever,
Yeah.
and you grew up in the household that I know we all grew up. Did I go right there slipping, talking about being?
Obviously, I passed
But yeah.
English, grewed up.
It's just like for all of us that grew up together in a way, or like knew everybody through growing up. It's like all the households we all know each other where we all came from. It's like if you failed English, you just weren't trying. It's like all of us had the capacity to do that easily.
Well, and even then, you're in the South where it's honestly our English classes were way more lax. And that's one of the things I
No.
appreciated about.
I had a couple
No, we had a couple of hard
classes
teachers.
that were-
Turner was not hard. She was just.
No, she was hard. She was unless she changed up.
I had
'cause she
her
was
2
getting-
years in a row too. No problems.
I didn't have her 2 years in a row. That's what I think made it worse on me. Is that I went.
No,
to,
I didn't. I
went,
had her one because I'd miss King the next year, and she was a young teacher from Prescott who was really
Well,
nice. Actually, I liked her a lot.
I went from freshman to sophomore in an AP.
Yeah.
And that's a hard transition to make for English alone because it goes from just normal grammar to comp and
Mhm.
like writing style and
Yeah.
writing like priorities in a way.
So and that's almost what I mean. Like what I was getting by, it's more lax. A lot of English classes throughout the rest of the country, and definitely on Texas side, when you go to here, they're automatic. Their base level, not even AP classes, focus on composition, but ours didn't.
No, ours focused.
You could go through Miss Turner's completely and have shit composition, but as long as your grammar was right and you had relatively okay sentence placement,
for normal English, that's
what
AP
I mean.
was all about composition.
Was she an AP teacher?
Yes.
Oh, so
absolutely.
that must have been what it was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is in my AP version, that's
I got
the one
you.
that
That's what I
failed.
missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's the one I had to write the little autobiography
Sure.
on me on.
Yeah, I had her in
But-
normal, and she was way too easy.
Dude, I bought Coleman's book. I still meant to have read it all. Like I've read the first 6 chapters.
I haven't read it, but
It's
I'm
good.
proud of him. I
It
like
takes
Coleman.
place
He's
here.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. Good teacher.
But I think, guys, that's it. We've been here for a while. Does anybody else have anything they want to get off their chest before we end it?
Let's see.
I got something I want to put on.
Someone want to put on your chest? I was thinking about it, shitting on someone's chest joke.
No,
but
no,
I got tatted
I wouldn't
hair
go.
on.
Oh, Lord.
no,
You didn't want to get into the German poo porn?
no. Oh my god,
I guess you.
Well, that's
Hold
it
on,
for
hold on.
us.
we can't end a podcast.
Thank you, guys.
Normal.
Have you ever watched World's Greatest Dad?
No.
That's actually what I'm getting at. You don't remember the movie with Robin Williams? I
Nope.
swear we've talked about
Oh yeah,
this.
we have. Never mind.
And his son is
Yeah.
Junie from fucking Spy Kids, and he's into German Scheisse porn. As
Well,
he
no,
says.
there's something ironic about that movie I'm not going to bring up here.
Yeah.
It's actually incredibly
Very-
ironic.
Yeah, very
I
ironic.
mean, why not bring it up here? It's not that we're making
It's-
fun of
yeah,
it.
it's not like it's-
it was just
It's not like it's a
masturbation.
secret.
It's masturbation asphyxiation.
Well, it's autoerotic asphyxiation.
autoerotic
But it's that
asphyxiation, yeah.
it's that in the
No,
movie.
it's near automata.
Considering how many times the sauce actually legitimately had problems saying automata,
No, it's not automata. It's the fact that I've heard people
Automata.
say automata, and
Automata
it's the fact that I've heard people say automata that's got me so messed up. It's funny too because it's like I absorbed that,
Yeah.
because I would make fun of how they said it. Now I can't not say it that way.
But it is ironic that in the
Absorbed.
movie, that's what it comes down to, right? And it's actually kind of, but in the movie, his son technically does hang himself.
He does.
But through a shameful version of that, and then of course he just moves him around to, hey, he just straight up normally hung himself from depression. Is the way he made it
and
look.
he wrote like suicide letters.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
stuff. That was a
But-
good movie.
Dude, it's a really dark movie, but it's one of my favorite movies. It's so good.
There's a Jack Black movie like that. Not the same story or whatever, but it's the same almost kind of themes of dark humor. And I can't think what it's called, but it's his name's Ken in it. I'm pretty sure he's like a
I don't
funeral
know.
director. It's been so long since I've seen it. I want to watch it again. Was it Jackie? Was that the name of the movie?
I don't know,
I
man.
don't know, man.
But
on that note,
we are through. Thank you for tuning in for Dickish at Best. As you can see, we don't apparently know how to end a podcast, but that's okay because
We'll
I was
fig-
having
we'll
a perfectly good time
we'll-
there. Thank you
we'll
guys
fig-
for
we'll
joining us
figure
with
it out.
episode 3. Let us know how we do, and we'll see you guys back for episode 4. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks to our patrons, Chad V, Dan Barber, Josh Jarrell, Matthew Green. My name is Dan, Douglas Below, Sean Santarud, Eric McAllister, Matt Sycamore, Shadowist, Steven Salazar, The Stonard, Travis Below, Eduardo Palomino, Stefan Swanlin, Coy Live, Philip Laguerre, Corey Hickerson, Brian, Donovan Williams, William Digital Spooker, Derek Porter, Josh Ayers, Thomas McKinnis, Brandon Edwards, and even though I keep forgetting to add you, and I'm going to change that, Sean 1 Neo. If you would like to support us, consider going to patreon.com/Nartech or clicking through the link that is in the description. Thank you.